family-owned company has helped more than 30,000 owners break free from their timeshares. They'll provide a guaranteed solution to exit your timeshare. So please call Lone Star Transfer 833-594-0079 or visit LoneStarTransfer.com. On this Tuesday, the Greenland thing has the potential to disrupt the West and help the dastardly Vladimir Putin. President Trump is correct that the enormous island under the control of Denmark is not helping security in the USA. That's because there's only one U.S. military base there to monitor Russian and Chinese ships using the Arctic Passage to North America. In discussions with the president, I put forth that deals can be made with the Danes. It's similar to Panama 1 year ago, when Mr. Trump saber-rattled that American troops might have to run the canal. Didn't happen because Panama made a deal with the USA that benefited both countries. Inserting U.S. troops into Greenland without a treaty would provide the murderous Putin with cover. As you know, his justification for invading Ukraine is Russian national security. That's President Trump's stated reason for controlling Greenland. Finally, the American people will not support a military move against the Danish territory as the midterm election looms. All the polls show that. In one poll, just 9% of the American population supports military action. We need some calm in this situation. Back after this. By now, you've probably heard about All Family Pharmacy. They're fast, reliable, and committed to getting you the medications you need without the runaround. When everyone around you is sick and you know you have to be prepared, or when you don't want to wait in line for maintenance meds, you absolutely need All Family Pharmacy. They've got antibiotics, antivirals, Tamiflu, ivermectin. Order online at allfamilypharmacy.com/bill. Use code BILL10 to save 10%. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Shannon with your first alert forecast. We're tracking highs towards the upper 30s this afternoon, mostly sunny skies. Then we'll look at a warmer Wednesday, highs towards the mid-40s, the warmest days out of the foreseeable future. We'll continue to cool into the weekend with Arctic air on the way, causing a first alert weather day into Saturday morning for overnight lows back towards that 0-degree mark. We'll also look at the potential for some weekend snow ahead. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shannon Scott.
There's a lot to talk about today, St. Louis. Let's get the conversation started. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on NewsTalkSTL.
Okay, Congress is in session, back in full swing. So is the Missouri legislature. So is the Illinois legislature. Man, we've got a lot going on with politicians trying to decide how to run our states and, frankly, in some cases, how to run our lives. Hey, good morning. Mike Ferguson here. By the way, 6:35. Shannon Adcock, our friend from Awake, Illinois, is going to be here. And here's the thing. There are some leftists, some extremists in the Democratic Party in Illinois who want to ban anyone who has worked for ICE from ever being qualified to work in law enforcement in Illinois. Yeah, that's how much they hate law enforcement at the federal level, law enforcement at the local level, and how much they love illegal aliens in this country. So we're going to talk to Shannon about that here in just a bit. Missouri legislature in full swing. A lot of pressure on conservatives to deliver and a lot of pressure on Republicans to be conservative again this year. State Senator Nick Schroer had the update for us on Monday's show, and here's what he told us.
Okay, so you've been through obviously several of these between the House and the Senate. How much of the tone is set in that first couple of weeks? And obviously, as you head back this week, you're already into bill hearings and we're into the actual nitty gritty work. But how do you assess the initial part of the 2026 session?
Yeah, I think as of right now, it's a good tone, at least for the Republicans, off to a great start. Governor Mike Kehoe saying, hey, even though we don't know a lot of the plan or we're finally looking legislation he was discussing in his State of the State. He sped up the State of the State so it can help get the work done. And the Democrats are in a tizzy, I guess you could say, as they're trying to stop all of the gubernatorial appointments. That was the only thing of consequence that's hit the floors so far. But yeah, I think, to your point earlier, a lot of the session kind of revolves around how the first couple weeks go. And at least my time in the Senate's never been together like this. The Republicans haven't been this tight-knit together. So at least for me, knock on wood, that's a good sign for the rest of the session.
What's different? I mean, why are y'all so on the same page so much better now?
Well, it's something that I predicted a couple of years ago when I got into the Senate. Republicans just kept fighting each other. I kept corralling the team saying, guys, if we can just deal with all of this personal rifts behind us. You had the Caleb Rowden versus Bill Eigel, the Denny Hoskins versus the Mike Searpoys. And I said, guys, if we can just handle that stuff off the field, like every professional team, whether you're in the corporate world or the sports world, they do that. And the Democrats were in the back one day early on, I think it was 2023, eating popcorn in the back of the Senate, watching the Democrats fighting. I said, look, the people of Missouri, it's a disservice to them if we can't get our act together and start addressing tax cuts, education reform, public safety, all the things that we promised during the campaign season. And lo and behold, you get new leadership in the White House, new leadership in the governor's office, new leadership in the Senate and in the House, and you get some of those old personalities out of the building, and we're starting to concentrate on those things. Look, last year we did the 7-1 map. We did IP reform. That's going to be on the ballot, a fix to Amendment 3, public safety bills, the regulatory reform. Now it's time to concentrate on tax cuts, spending relief, and more regulatory reform if we're going to do the things that are attracting businesses and people to the state of Missouri. So that's why I think, we're concentrating on the work and not getting involved in the weeds and letting the Democrats run the day.
Okay, so I want to start with the tax cuts. I mean, that's a massive ask that the governor is making. Of course, so many Republicans campaigned on that. What will have to happen to make this a reality, to get this passed in 2026? Because this is a major ask. It's very complicated. Can it be done in 2026? Because I have a feeling a lot of conservatives are going to be really frustrated if it's not.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to be upset. I've talked to a lot of moderates who have said that, you remember that guy who ran for, I think it was mayor, who said the rent was too damn high?
Yeah.
Well, taxes are too high. Life in general in the state of Missouri is unaffordable. So we need to start concentrating on areas, whether it's income tax, personal property tax, real property reform, get rid of those taxes or at least modify them in some way. And, for the Freedom Caucus types, the more conservative types, even some of the moderates, they're saying, well, Governor, I see the bill that you referred to in your State of the State. It goes to the people, but it's not really a tax cut. It just allows us to do some big, bold things. And everybody who I'm talking to says, no, in good faith, we're going to actually have to see a tax cut. For example, I've got a bill, and I'm not trying to toot my own bill. If somebody else has a better one, let's do that. But I've got a bill that would move us from the 4.75 that we're at now with the income tax rate, moves us down to a flat 4 immediately, ensures that there's triggers in place at the similar to what we have now. When the state generates more revenue coming in, it's going to trigger another tax cut and another tax cut. So in the next 5 to 10 years, we could see a total phase out without actually increasing taxes. But we're also going to need to see that coupled with actual spending reform and cutting the budget. That's something that has gone out of control. At least the Freedom Caucus said, hey, we loved hearing that we need to start cutting hundreds of millions of dollars from the budget in the governor's State of the State. But then when we looked on his proposed budget on the website, we all know that that's not going to be the final straw, the final budget, but that came in more than what we saw last year. So we're still hopeful. We're going to work together as a team, as Republicans, and try to get us back on track when it's related to actual tax cuts, doing it right, and not shooting ourselves in the foot like Kansas did, and tying that to actual spending reform as well.
Yeah, that's an important part of this because, yes, I want more money left on my paycheck, and that's crucial. And there's obviously the attractiveness for employers and retirees and families and everything that goes with it. But a spending cut is also a restraint on the overreach of government. So it's not just about the dollars and cents.
Yeah, 100%. You look at some of these areas that Republicans and Democrats agree on, like our roads should be safe. Our roads should be clear of disasters and ice and stuff like that. MoDOT's out of control. So the state of Missouri is still in a flux right now. Got to fix some of these issues that the Missouri Supreme Court, I guess you can say, caused by saying, there's no oversight of MoDOT whatsoever, to put that in layman's terms. But yeah, I think we're on the right track. We're all talking the right language as far as the goal. Now we just have to figure out the correct way to get there.
Okay, so let's talk about some of your bills. So, for instance, something that's already in the process, hearings on it and everything, you've got a reform bill when it comes to juvenile justice. What is it that needs to be updated?
Yeah, so after the Ferguson protests a number of years ago, the Mike Brown protest, the Missouri Supreme Court changed a different rule when it comes to figuring out if you should detain a minor who's committed crimes or allegedly committed crimes. They created this form. You kind of look at all the crimes that the juvenile allegedly committed. You take in a lot of factors, and if they meet a certain threshold on this point system, then you should keep them. They either need the services or a threat to society. And you've got all of these different juvenile offices in, St. Louis County is different than St. Louis City, is different than St. Charles County, so on and so forth. But a lot of them are just playing catch and release with these kids that need to receive the services of our juvenile justice system. And for the most part, other states are looking at how Missouri is treating their juveniles, how they're getting them on the right path, so we're not creating career criminals. But because of this form, because of its implementation, and it's just hit or miss in some places like St. Charles County, Pike County, Lincoln. Yeah, they're going to crack down and make sure that this kid gets on the right path. And we're seeing in St. Louis City and St. Louis County juveniles that should have been put in detention are back out on the streets committing crime day in, day out. And every time they commit another crime, it's typically more serious, more violent, resulting in somebody else's death or even their own. So this would change that form. It would require collaboration with prosecutors. And if the attorney general is appointed as a special prosecutor, they can collaborate. And it would say that form, the Missouri Supreme Court, I think their heart was in the right place, but it's been implemented the wrong way. That's not going to be mandatory. And we're going to look at a compilation of all of the crimes instead of what some of these juvenile officers are doing, looking at just one. For example, kid breaks into 15 cars, steals jewelry, steals money, steals a gun. Some of these places are only looking at one of those crimes and not putting them all together.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're visiting with State Senator Nick Schroer. Of course, you can hear him every weekend here on News Talk STL. I'd list a show, but just listen. He's on throughout the entire weekend here. So much going on. All right, so let's talk about, you mentioned the Freedom Caucus as well. You've got basically 5 points to your agenda for this year. Is any part of this lacking, or does the legislature seem willing to look at everything that the Freedom Caucus says, hey, this should be a priority?
I think as of right now, we're seeing bills moving in the House, bills moving in the Senate, and parts of the governor's agenda that mesh with what we're calling for. For example, making Missouri more affordable again. Well, of course, we need tax cuts. We need spending relief as well. And those are things that the governor mentioned in his State of the State, and we've seen year in and year out in the state of Missouri. If the governor says, if the leader of the party leader of the state says, hey, we're going to have to jump, you typically have a bunch of legislators saying, okay, how high? It's kind of like that old Nancy Pelosi thing with the Affordable Care Act that, we'll find out what's in it once we pass it. There, unfortunately, are a lot of legislators that will just take the lead rather than getting in to the nitty gritty of each piece of legislation. So we're hopeful for that. We're hopeful that the governor, leadership and House leadership and the Senate are talking about some of these huge things that the Missouri Freedom Caucus is saying we need to address these if we're going to move the state in the right direction, move towards a more limited government that's going to be attractive for other people to move here, and to ensure that our kids aren't going to want to move to Tennessee or Florida, one of these other states that don't have income tax cuts. So making Missouri healthy again. We've got a bill coming up just Wednesday that's dealing with Lyme disease eradication. It's a bill of mine. I haven't said it on this network yet, but I was diagnosed last year with Lyme disease. My wife was diagnosed several years before that, and trying to find treatment, trying to find options, heck, even trying to find testing, it's a headache. And we're seeing even the Trump administration, RFK, is trying to collaborate with a bunch of the states to address this the right way. So we've got a bill coming up Wednesday at 10:30. I've showed everything on social media, links to the bill, when the bill is going to be heard on Wednesday. And if anybody can share their story in person and testify, that's incredible. If you can't, send your information to nick@nickschroer.com. We'll make sure that everybody on the committee gets your story if you've been impacted or somebody in your family has been impacted by Lyme disease.
Okay, 314-912-1019. Don't forget, if you have not downloaded the News Talk STL app yet, it is free. You can find it in any app store, and it's a great way to take us with you. You can stream any of the shows and find any of our podcasts on that app. And once again, completely free. All right, this is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
What happens next?
Nicolas Maduro had multiple opportunities to avoid this.
Happens right here.
We will secure our borders. We will stop the terrorists. We will crash the cartels.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Louis Gohmert, he's a former congressman.
Bob Gibson.
Oh, yeah.
Pitching for the St. Louis Cardinals in the World Series. And so I snuck my transistor radio in my shirt and had the little earpiece into my ear and tried to keep my head turned where the teacher wouldn't see, but was listening to the World Series in class.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you're testing your blood sugar 4 or more times per day, injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetic Health Hotline today.
800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380. Paid for by U.S. Med.
In 2017, our daughter Angelica Hale remarkably sang her way to the finals, but the real miracle is that she even made it to the stage.
When she was 4 years old, she developed an infection in her lungs. We didn't know what happened or why she was suddenly so sick. Thankfully, her doctor knew. It was sepsis.
Sepsis is the body's overwhelming response to infection and requires urgent medical attention.
We wanted to help others recognize sepsis so they can get the treatment they need fast. When it comes to sepsis, remember, it's about time. Watch for T, temperature. It could be higher or lower than normal. I, infection. You may have signs and symptoms of an infection. M, mental decline. You could feel confused, sleepy, or be difficult to rouse. E, feeling extremely ill. You could have severe pain or discomfort.
Take the time now to learn more at sepsis.org.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with this free call. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
Number 1 for live and local
conservative talk.
You can take these facts. I know for a fact. It's just about time. It's not now. When?
Oh, there's just so much to say and not enough time to say it or do it.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is our country. This is the country that you and I love.
I'm kind of not surprised.
Man, that's what they need.
Very upset.
A lot of fear.
I agree with that, and well, who couldn't agree with it? It's a fact.
1019 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number 1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
We'll prevail.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
You know, my friends, Don Lemon just can't help himself.
Sounds like you're getting soured on him.
Well, I'm actually kind of enjoying that he's back in the spotlight for a moment.
Oh,
I really am. I really am. Because first of all, tell me if I'm wrong about this. But watching him puff himself up like he's really important and relevant, because remember, this guy was so bad that even CNN was like, "Okay, we're done with your primetime slot. You can basically have overnights." No, okay, well, we're going to let you go. Mm-hmm. And so this guy checks like 3 of the boxes that CNN requires, as far as their wokeness. And they're like, no, we can't. The listeners, the viewers, they all tuned him out. And so now he's back in the spotlight. Is it just me, Jerome, or is this kind of like the nerdy kid who forgets to take a bath and maybe he's really fat and he gets finally invited to sit at the table at school at lunch with the cool kids and he wants to jump up and down and say, "Look how cool I am"? I mean, is it he's kind of like that kid right now?
Yes. That is an extremely accurate. It's like the person that finally gets a little bit of attention thrown back his way now, and he just doesn't know what to do being in the spotlight again.
Right. So at some point, what's going to happen with conservative media is people are going to be saying, okay, well, stop giving this guy attention. And most of the time, I actually think that's a good rule of thumb with some of these nutcases. But I'm like, no, let's let him stay in the spotlight for a little bit. He just, what's the worst thing that we can do to Don Lemon right now? Step back and let him talk. Just let him go.
Yeah, and that's, I think, what's so embarrassing on his behalf for this whole situation is that he, reflecting on what he actually did with the protesters that showed up to crash the service, there was an actual opportunity for him to reestablish, I can be a credible journalist. I can cover the important things. I can actually do a good job in moments of chaos. Mm-hmm. And he ruined it because he was very clearly trying to advocate on the behalf of the protesters who had no business storming that church to begin with.
Right. And so we are going to cover that here in a little bit. And I've got not just a soundbite from him being interviewed on a podcast. Her name is Jennifer Welch. I guess she's like real popular with the left right now, I guess. I'd never really heard of her, but he was on there. So I've got a soundbite from that. And then he interviewed Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison and got the elected Attorney General's thoughts on the First Amendment argument about this. And both of them are so far into the world of insanity that it's just unreal. Now, remember, this is why the federal government has already notified Don Lemon, you're the subject of an investigation because of this. Now, by the way, Red State has a really good article on that, so go ahead and check that out. And there's some articles on like Newsmax and all the others. But it's not a matter of we disagree. It's not a matter of I think they're demonstrably wrong. But this is why I think the DOJ, the Trump administration DOJ, is saying if we don't prosecute, nobody else is. And I don't even know that Harmeet Dillon and Pam Bondi are necessarily as concerned about Don Lemon in particular as they are saying, if there's not a message sent and people are prosecuted for what they just did, this is going to happen everywhere to the conversation we're talking about. Now, I've got a lot of critiques about Pam Bondi. I don't think she was a good choice for AG. I wish somebody else were in there, but we'll see how they handle this. It looks like Harmeet Dillon's going to be the one to take the lead on this sort of thing, which would be probably a much better idea. So this could be about trying to stop the bleed because the message being sent to the radical leftist, not just the people who are, on the other side of things and we can sit down and debate with them. We're talking about the fringe, the nutcases. The message has been sent, look for people who can't or won't fight back. And so that's where I think is part of the thing, because Don Lemon was referencing, they said they're going to, charge me with the FACE Act or the KKK Act. And, like I was just a journalist, I was just documenting. I was just doing what he was trying to separate himself from the group that he went in with and then confronted the same people that they were confronting. But, it's a totally different thing.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's buying the idea that he just so happened to be in town saying, oh, there's a church I might consider going to. What is that group doing? Maybe I should go and see what's going to happen. I don't think anybody buys that.
Yeah, and to say, if he said I'm trying to reestablish myself as a journalist. Of course, he claims he's always been a journalist, which is just nonsense. But he says, and to say, well, this is where the protests are. That's where I'm going. Oh, okay. You can buy that. But then when you look at the conversation beforehand, and everything with that. So we are going to hear from that. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit. Also, a little bit later on, I just want to kind of have kind of a News Talk family meeting. Not formal, nobody's in trouble, but I want to hear from you. I have a feeling we're going to be heading into a season that's really hard, really intense, really polarizing, really going to weigh on everybody because we care. I want you to tell me what you want from us when we're doing that coverage and those discussions, because I'm not a real rage bait or clickbait kind of guy. I'd rather just have real conversations. And so let's talk about what we're going to talk about a little bit later on today. So shoot me an email, put them on social media. I want to do that as well. Okay, so I didn't watch the game, but the University of Indiana, the Indiana Hoosiers, are now the national football champions.
Oh.
Indiana.
Was not expecting that.
No. They completed an undefeated season, and they beat the University of Miami, who had an upset in the playoffs. And so Indiana beat the number 10th ranked team in the country and won the national championship. So I grew up in Illinois. It pains me to say it, but congratulations, Indiana.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
Streaming TV is where it's at. It's not about cutting the cord anymore. That's old news. It's all about your customized TV options. With the best and cheapest high-speed internet and your own TV subscriptions, we've got your dream TV lineup. Between wired and satellite internet and TV, you now have tons of options. Save money and get more internet speed and better TV today by calling the Whole Home Connect. We scan your location and offer you the best TV and internet options. And we always have specials and promotions. So when you call, ask about that. Take 5 minutes of your time, make this free call now, and learn how to save money and get better internet and TV for your home anywhere in the U.S. Make this simple and free call now.
800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. That's 800-257-1632.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
What's the best way to get rid of a timeshare that you don't want? Call the Timeshare Exit Hotline. We're a group of attorneys that help customers legally exit their timeshares. It's an easy process. We guarantee results or you pay nothing. Exit your timeshare today. Call now.
800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go. And pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
From Town Hall, I'm Rich Thomason. Louisiana Republican Congressman Mike Johnson makes history, becoming the first U.S. House Speaker to address the British Parliament.
We have returned at a pivotal moment, obviously, in the great histories of our countries, to mark this anniversary that we have in our nation and to celebrate what we've achieved together in the past, and importantly, to face and overcome together the challenges of our present day. And I want to tell you, my friends, we will do that together.
Johnson's speech comes as the United States prepares to celebrate its 250th anniversary. President Trump is preparing to head to Switzerland for the World Economic Forum, where the Greenland controversy is expected to figure high on the agenda. President Trump threatens to tariff any NATO nation that fights his proposed U.S. takeover of Greenland. British Prime Minister Starmer hopes a trade war can be avoided.
Well, what I'm going to do now is to focus on our national interest and be absolutely clear that that requires us to be clear about the principles that we apply to a situation like this, in particular that the future of Greenland is for Greenland and the Denmark Kingdom, and that tariffs should not be used against allies in this way.
There is some speculation that Mr. Trump could be using the tariff threat as a bargaining chip. At least 100 vehicles involved in a pileup on a snowy Michigan interstate. And icy Arctic air is barreling south with more snow, and certainly the lake effect variety expected to continue this week across the Great Lakes region. The Indiana Hoosiers have won their first national college football title, beating Miami 27-21, topping off an undefeated season. Following the three-day holiday weekend, back to business today for Wall Street. Right now, Dow futures are down 644 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I had a lot of credit card debt, and it stressed me out. But what I thought was a solution turned out to be a problem. I kept hearing ads about debt settlement that seemed too good to be true. And actually, it was. When I called, they told me to stop paying my bills. That didn't sound right to me at all, so I hung up. Later, I found out that debt settlement is bad, real bad. Then I learned that there is a right way to pay off your credit cards. It's called a debt management program from the great team at Trinity. Trinity had a plan. In the end, I paid off my bills, I saved thousands, and I even improved my credit score.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-990-6976.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Shannon Scott with your first alert forecast. We're tracking highs towards the upper 30s this afternoon, mostly sunny skies. Then we'll look at a warmer Wednesday, highs towards the mid-40s, the warmest days out of the foreseeable future. We'll continue to cool into the weekend with Arctic air on the way, causing a first alert weather day into Saturday morning for overnight lows back towards that 0-degree mark. We'll also look at the potential for some weekend snow ahead. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shannon Scott.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Looking for an underwater adventure or a scaly new friend? Dive into Tropical World Pets on Watson Road. For 32 years, this family-owned wonderland has been St. Louis's go-to destination for all things aquatic and reptilian. With over 7,000 square feet of aquariums, we're home to the area's largest selection of freshwater fish, including rare cichlids you won't find anywhere else. But that's not all. We've got tarantulas, snakes, and lizards galore. Tropical World Pets, 314-849-4020, or visit twpstl.com.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
No big old corporate lib AM station telling us what to say here.
Conservative talk for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1.
And always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Mike Ferguson.
Boo! Relax, nerd.
Susie Moore.
And that would be a good time to respond with some applause.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
That's a banana republic without the banana.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Stop interrupting our conversations, Jerome. We're talking about the ads that we're getting on social media.
I know.
We were involved in our conversation.
We're busy
right here.
having
We're busy.
conversation. What's with this radio show stuff?
You guys have such deep philosophical discussions moments before we have to provide the audience with good news.
I know. All right, let's do the thing.
Okay.
All right.
We can.
Okay. Are criminal charges in the future for the protesters who invaded that Minnesota church service?
Looks like.
Yes. Also, abortion back at the center of court hearings in Missouri. Going to update you on that. And SLU. This is SLU. Coming out of nowhere. If you're a big sports fan in St. Louis, you knew this. SLU is now in the national basketball rankings.
Woo!
Yes. All right.
Nice.
6:06. Let's go ahead and do a news dump.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The morning news dump.
Okay, so the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division is investigating those protesters who invaded that church in Minnesota, chanting things like "ICE out," "Justice for Renee Good," "Hands up, don't shoot," all of those other classics, when they went into the city's church in the middle of one of their services. So on the Fox's The Will Cain Show, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche says the FACE Act actually protects churchgoers in this case, and it appears it was violated.
You are not allowed to stop people from worshiping, and you're not allowed to intimidate or impede them. And so the individuals that went in there and did that, and you could tell that they had a plan, you could tell that they had an agenda.
Okay, federal prosecutors, like I said, doing that investigation, possibly bringing charges against the protest group. They were calling themselves the Racial Justice Network, and against left-wing media personality Don Lemon. He says he wasn't part of the group, but he joined them in entering the sanctuary and confronting one of the pastors, as we saw. And so on a podcast, Lemon argued that the church, in fact, does not have a right to a protest-free worship service.
And there's a certain degree of entitlement. I think people who are, in the religious groups like that, it's not the type of Christianity that I practice, but I think that they're entitled, and that entitlement comes from a supremacy, a white supremacy. And they think that this country was built for them, that it is a Christian country, when actually we left England because we wanted religious freedom.
Okay, Susie, would you happen to have any thoughts on that?
I'm speechless. First of all, that was so all over the place.
Yeah.
Like, he's just pulling out things that sound like, in the moment, sound good in his head and just throwing them out there. They make no sense. They represent the law in no way whatsoever, and they prove once and for all that he is an idiot.
Yes, thank you. That's so true. And we're going to further confirm that with his own words and Keith Ellison's own words. Did you see Keith Ellison went on Don Lemon's podcast, and he asked him about basically First Amendment stuff, and I'm sitting there watching, this is an attorney general? I mean, sure, he's on the left, but I'm like, this is an attorney. This is an attorney?
We covered that. I didn't see the actual clip, but it does not surprise me. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll dig into that more. I think we'll do that. Let's do that around 6:20. Let's just do that here in 2
Sounds
minutes.
like a plan.
All right. Tensions between the U.S. and Iran's reigning regime are rising. A U.S. aircraft carrier is now moving into the Middle East. President Trump calling for the end of Iran's supreme leader reign. Republican Senator Mark Wayne Mullen let me try that again.
Easy for you to say.
Oklahoma Republican Senator Mark Wayne Mullen was on Hannity last night on Fox, and he thinks that there will be a change in leadership in Iran very soon.
The only reason why he's still alive today is because the Arab countries around didn't want to remove him. But at some point, Sean, you and I both know the president very well. He's going to lose patience.
Okay, we don't know for sure how many, but an Iranian official says 5,000 people have been killed in the protests, while Iran's supreme leader called President Trump a criminal for encouraging the protest. The president suggested that he is still considering whether or not he's going to order further military action against Iran at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know where this is going to go.
No, we do not.
And I don't think that 5,000 number is accurate.
There's no way to know.
Yeah, there's no way to know, but we've also got other reports from on the ground that said the number is much, much higher, but we can't confirm that. All right, President Trump threatening now our allies in the European Union with 10% tariffs as leaders there are not buying into his proposal to acquire Greenland, to put it under U.S. control. He told Norway's prime minister that he has no obligation to move forward peacefully because he was not awarded the Nobel Prize. I saw that and I'm like, no, that can't be right. And then I read some other copy. I'm like, no, let me go to the conservative news sites. And I went to, Newsmax. I'm like, oh, no, that's actually what he said. It is. It's what he said. Anyway, Missouri Senator Eric Schmidt was on Hannity as well last night, and he's on board with the president here.
He doesn't care much about, currying favor with the elites in Brussels. And that's really what this is about. The Europeans are so used to sort of everyone speaking to them a certain way. President Trump has a job to do, and that's to protect the homeland in the Western Hemisphere here, which is our backyard.
Okay, so being pressed on this by reporters, President Trump says he's not ruling out military force to take Greenland. I'm telling you, we're not invading Greenland.
No, we're not.
We're not going to. It's irresponsible for him to keep saying, well, I'm not ruling it out, but we're not invading Greenland. I think everybody knows that, even though the words that he says results in other countries taking other actions and like, well, what's going to happen here? So this could be a massive mess.
Yeah. I guess I'm a little more sanguine about it. First of all, there's a split amongst the European leaders on this because you've got Mark Rutte basically on board with it. You've got Macron giving mixed signals.
Yeah.
You've got Hungary on board with it. So we're watching things play out in a messy way, but I think when all is said and done, it's not going to be as messy as it seems like right now. Let me put it that way.
We can only hope because it's becoming very cartoonish right now.
Well, it's 2026.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, and then the other end of it is, just because we in America are not taking it seriously does not mean that the people of Europe are not actually kind of spooked by what's being said, the rhetoric being used. That could be a translation issue from American to European, but it's still, sometimes it's better to be careful and specific with what we actually are saying.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes here. Okay, the trial over regulations on abortion in Missouri resumes. So that's happening in Jackson County, where Planned Parenthood is among the plaintiffs. They're really the primary plaintiff, challenging Missouri's medical regulations on abortion. So they're arguing, Planned Parenthood is arguing, that the state constitutional amendment passed in 2024 outlaws basically any restrictions whatsoever. Now, among the regulations being challenged is the requirement that an actual doctor perform a surgical abortion. That's one of the rules that Missouri has, and they say, no, we just passed this constitutional amendment that says no regulations whatsoever.
Yeah. So we're going to have non-doctors doing surgery?
Yeah. If it's the sacrament of abortion.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and Steve Rupp and Brandy Meeks and all, the pro-life folks that we talk to often here, they pointed out before this was passed, they're like, if this passes, literally anybody would be allowed to perform an abortion. You don't even have to have a medical license of any kind, anything. So that's one of the rules that they're challenging here. Arguments are expected to conclude this week. Who knows when the actual ruling will be handed down. Yeah. All right. The annual March for Life takes place this week.
Hundreds of thousands of people from all across the nation are expected in Washington, D.C. on Friday for the event. It commemorates the 1973 Supreme Court ruling that legalized abortion in all 50 states. And despite the fact that Roe v. Wade has now been overturned, the march goes on. Organizers say, quote, the necessary work to build a culture of life in the U.S. is not finished. The goal of the march is ultimately to make abortion unthinkable. Michael Harrington reporting.
I love that angle to it. There's one thing, it was always make it illegal in order to save lives, but this is to make it unthinkable just culturally and intellectually.
Win the hearts and minds.
Yes. All right, the Billikens are now ranked in the men's basketball top 25.
That's impressive.
Yeah, SLU is 17-1 on the season, and they break into this week's AP poll at number 24.
Sweet.
Yeah. Illinois, by the way, is ranked number 11.
Oh.
In the top 25 as well. So congratulations to the Billikens. There's a buzz about the Billikens right now.
Very nice.
Yeah. All right, the Blues are on the road tonight. They are going to be in Winnipeg. Game time against the Jets is 7 o'clock. Both teams have similar records here. Blues 19-22-8. Jets are 19-23-5. FanDuel is carrying this one.
Okay.
Try to make me stop, no inspiration. You have a soul so dark, it is no more. And all at once depart, no destination. You're making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference.
Mike Ferguson.
This man is crazy.
Susie Moore.
The best is yet to come.
On News Talk STL.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, get up.
Columbo here from my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com is your one-stop shop for expert insured tree care and more in the greater St. Louis region and at the Lake of the Ozarks. Visit hansonstree.com for 24/7 emergency tree care, grinding and land clearing, awesome organic mulch, green resource recycling, and more. Tim Jones here to tell you that whether you're dealing with old man winter at your home or business in the St. Louis region or preparing your lake home for spring, call Hanson's to help you out. No job too big or too small. Mention News Talk STL. Receive 10% off all tree care services. hansonstree.com, hansonstree.com.
I'm Missouri Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. When severe weather hits, scammers often follow. They may pose as charities, jack up prices on essentials, or offer fraudulent home repairs. I'm committed to protecting Missourians from those scams. If you've been targeted or suspect price gouging, report it to our office at 800-392-8222 or online at ago.mo.gov.
Paid for by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Let's get back to all this madcap mayhem with Mike Ferguson in the morning. But don't forget, stick around for Jones and Arps every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m.
You know, Don Lemon's really enjoying his renewed place in the spotlight. At least for the moment.
For the moment.
At least for the moment. And I know that there are people, and Jerome and I chatted about this right before you got in, that there are people who are saying, just stop giving him attention. You know, it's like the obnoxious kid in school who wants to just make everybody miserable. Just don't give him attention. They'll go away. I kind of want to keep the spotlight on him.
Yeah, it's only been a couple of days.
Yeah.
It will go away before. I mean, inevitably it will go away. But he needs to be excoriated for his behavior. So,
but here's the thing: is that I know he's irrelevant. You know he's irrelevant. You know he doesn't know that he's irrelevant.
He's relevant.
I compared it to the dumb, obnoxious, like kid who forgets to take a bath and finally is allowed to sit at the cool kids table at lunch in school, and he's so proud of it. And he has to go tell everybody that he got to be in the cool spot. That's Don Lemon right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, he may end up facing criminal prosecution over his actions. So.
Yeah, he has some thoughts on that too.
Well, I'm sure he does.
Honestly, I think that's one of those he's actually using that as a feather in his cap to some degree. But I also sense that he's actually a little oh crap scared, a little bit. I'm just thinking.
Well, he reminds me of when I was a musician, and there would be people that would hang out outside of concerts trying to hand out their mixtapes and their CDs to people as promotional material. I can imagine him trying to do this grandstanding stunt and then going to all the protesters like, so you watch my podcast, right? You watch my show, right? And they're just like, who are you? And then now he's getting himself in legal trouble, apparently.
Yeah.
Do you know who I am?
Yeah.
Not sure.
That's a yes or no question, right? Yeah. Oh, okay. So his and Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison's take on The protest is, and I'm not making this up, I'm going to let you hear from them directly here. No churches do not have a right to an unmolested worship service. I guess particularly if you're a white church.
Right.
Or predominantly white church.
I guess.
Yeah. I mean, but literally that's what they're saying is, no, you don't have a right to worship in peace and control what happens in your sanctuary. Yeah. So Don Lemon was on a podcast. I am not familiar with who Jennifer Welch is, but I guess I guess she's a big deal on the left.
Oh, do not even get me started about her.
Whoa.
She's a fake big deal. She's a complete op. She came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden she's like everywhere, and she's got this not attractive look.
Okay.
She's ubiquitous. It was like not organic at all. She is completely marched out there.
Got it. Okay.
I was not expecting Susie to have ops.
I'm like, that was a visceral reaction. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he went on her podcast. And here's part of what he had to say when she was asking the question about, people are saying you don't, that they have a right to their worship service. Here is what Don Lemon, let me click on the right thing on my computer here. Here is what he had to say on that podcast. Make sure I'm clicking the right one. The 44-second one. So here's what it was.
And there's a certain degree of entitlement. I think people who are, in the religious groups like that, it's not the type of Christianity that I practice, but I think that they're entitled, and that entitlement comes from a supremacy, a white supremacy. And they think that this country was built for them, that it is a Christian country, when actually we left England because we wanted religious freedom. It's religious freedom, but only if you're a Christian and only if you're a white male, pretty much. And so, I absolutely 100%, but it's an intimidation tactic. And, I said, I don't understand how I've become the face of it when I was a journalist. I do understand that I'm the biggest name there. And I'm also, as I was on with my producers this morning, you and Kylie talk all the time. My producers were saying, I said, how did I become the face of this? And my producer said, Don, you're a gay black man in America.
I'm the biggest name there, but it's because I'm a gay black man in America.
Right, yeah.
But I'm just there as a journalist.
Yeah. That's not my
I'm the biggest name.
That's not my type of Christianity. Oh, you think?
Right. We're not a Christian country. It's not my type of Christianity. And Christianity is really only for white males, but I'm a gay black male.
And that's not my type of Christianity.
Right.
But yeah, Christianity, yes. And the thing is that the furrowed brow on the other folks on the left, like, oh yeah, that's really something. Something. But it's the argument that, the bastardization of the First Amendment interpretation that they're doing. But this whole thing is like, no, because literally he was saying they expected to have a right to worship as they please, but they don't, because that's in white supremacy entitlement.
Do mosques?
Good question.
Do synagogues?
How do you think mosques? I've never been in a mosque, and likely I will never be in a mosque. But how do you think a mosque would react if there were a MAGA protest walking in with a bunch of red, white, and blue flags and chanting "Make America Great Again"?
Well, I can tell you, I already have an email from CARE in my inbox.
Yeah. Kira Davis?
No, CARE.
Oh, CARE. CARE. Oh, KAIR. Yeah.
CAIR.
CAIR. Sorry. Yeah. CAIR. Yeah. Yes. What
just
did they
you mentioning the possibility has resulted in an email coming into my inbox.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So how do you think that's going to turn out? It's not going to turn out the same way that the genteel Minnesota Christians were, because they were shocked. They went into that paralysis of what is going on, and then realizing what's going on, and then seeing that they weren't outnumbered, but and there's the one guy just yelling and screaming when he was confronted. I'll be really honest, is in that type of situation, I think physical force would have been justified. I do not think it would have been sinful. I think it would have been well within biblical guidelines when they were being attacked. So churches will have to start preparing for that. But if you've got a church of 50, 60 people, and half of them are little old ladies who are, 75, 80, 85 years old, that's easy pickings.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be able to defend it.
Right. Yeah. I try to not get into the name calling. I really, really do.
Right.
I cannot avoid with Don Lemon just reiterating, he's an idiot.
Yeah.
Like, he literally does not know what he's talking about.
Well, I've been looking at some of the footage that came out, too, and there was a family with some small children that were huddled, like, trying to make sense of what the chaos was. And how do you feel like you are the right side proper, correct people when you go in there, and most of the people that you're harassing are not actually ICE agents. They are people that have kids that they can't. I mean, let's say something had escalated and the father decided that he needed to protect his family. Then best case scenario, he might go to jail. Now he's not with his family. Or if he got injured or something, you are like destroying the lives of people that have nothing to do with what your cause or ideology is.
Can we also remember that it was less than 5 months ago that a church in Minneapolis was shot up by a crazy lunatic while little kids were in the middle of their, worship service?
Yeah.
So you're going to tell me
children were hit by that.
Yeah, and killed.
And killed, yeah.
So you're going to tell me that that's not in the minds of some of these families when, obviously these people came in as a group, but I'm sorry, what that's not going to evoke that same feeling and thought?
And so Don Lemon had his show, I think it's just called the Don Lemon Show or whatever it's called, his podcast, his live stream. And he had Attorney General Keith Ellison on it. Now, there's a write-up, the good write-up that your team did there, Red State, on this as well. You can see that. But here's how that conversation went. Unfortunately, there's he's on like a Zoom or something like that, and there's a little part where a key part of what he was saying kind of drops out for a split second, but you get what he's saying. Here's how that went.
Attorney General, I know you know what's going on. I'm sure you've heard of what's going on. What do you think of this and what happened at the church and all that?
Well, let me tell you, I think that the protest is fundamental to American society. This country started in a protest, and it's freedom of expression. People have a right to lift up their voices and make their peace, and none of us are immune from the voice of the public. So, quite honestly, I think that you got the First Amendment, freedom of religion, and the First Amendment, freedom of expression, and I think that I think it's just something you got to live with in a society like this.
Just got to live with it. So everybody who's complaining about the church being invaded and their religious freedom violated, you just got to live with it. Mm-hmm. That's an elected attorney general in the United States.
Well,
saying
let's not forget, Kamala Harris was attorney general of California, right?
Yeah.
Just so you know, it's not always people like, Catherine Hanaway or Josh Hawley or Eric Schmidt or Andrew Bailey.
Yeah.
Not everybody is as lucky as Missouri is.
And you look even back at even some of the Democrats we've had as attorney general, you would have never heard something like this from Jay Nixon.
Absolutely not.
And Jay Nixon was a horrific governor. He was just incompetent, but he wasn't a bad attorney general.
No. I mean, most of I don't even think Claire McCaskill would make that argument.
No,
I mean, she might come close these days, but
I don't think she would have made it at the time.
Oh, she definitely would.
Maybe
not have.
today, but
I know
not
she
at
was
the
an
time.
attorney general, but she was a statewide elected official. And she was a senator, obviously. No, there's no way that she would have.
I'm also confused. Why is it that the people that are going to church or having any other sort of public gathering that is completely unrelated to ICE and their events have to learn how to live with this, but the communities where ICE agents are going to capture the illegals, including many who have heinous crime histories, they don't have to learn how to live with federal government agents in their communities.
Because reasons.
Oh, it's different.
Mm-hmm.
The capital D with the little parentheses, Democrat different. Okay, I guess that it doesn't make sense, but I guess that's a reason.
So here's one of the things that if you're in one of these hot spots, and I obviously not every single church is at risk of being targeted this coming Sunday or anything like that. Although I think any church that, for instance, is pro-life, could be at risk of some kind of protest outside, which that's a First Amendment thing without a doubt.
Sure,
but churches, synagogues, you're probably should be having meetings to say, okay, do we post guards? Do we ask the church to budget, to hire off-duty police officers to work as guards? It's not the feeling that you want in a sanctuary space.
No.
But it may be what we have to do because the left has become so unhinged and so violent here in the United States.
I mean, it's the smart thing to do is to be, if you don't already have a security protocol, to be coming up with one. And it should cover several different eventualities, not least of which is random mobs of protesters just deciding that that's where they're going to have their voices be heard.
Yeah. And even if a court at some point slaps this down and says, no, that is not what the First Amendment means, it's still going to happen.
Yeah. Well, probably.
Yeah. I think that's where it's at. All right, we'll cover this more throughout the day. And then a little bit later on, I'm telling you, I want to just kind of open it up and just have a conversation because this stuff really weighs on people.
Yes, it does.
It really weighs on people. Let's talk about how to talk about it. We're not going to stop covering what matters, what you need to know, but I want to have a conversation as to what's not going to, like, grind us down. How should we do it the right way? And I want you all to tell me about that too. We're going to open up that conversation. We'll do it sometime next hour.
All right, that sounds good. You know, J.B. Pritzker is not the only Democrat who prefers illegal aliens over Americans. Yeah. Now, some Illinois Democrats have come up with another extreme anti-law enforcement idea, and we're going to tell you about that at 6:35.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
He picked the wrong schoolyard to come into, I have to tell you this.
On News Talk STL.
I like doing business with people who are smart and know what they're doing because it makes sure that I get a quality product, a quality service, and a good dollar-for-dollar value, and that's what you're going to get with my friends at STL Fenceworks. Mike Ferguson here for STL Fenceworks. You can find them easily online, stlfenceworks.com. Listen, they do decks, but they really do a great job of matching that deck with a fantastic, hassle-free fence that's going to save you money and it's going to last you for decades. They specialize in materials that withstand the weather. They have a warranty that goes with it. And you think about it, if you just want to put an old-fashioned wood fence up, okay, those can be very, very pretty. But here's the thing. You got to seal it right away, and so your cost goes up more than you thought. And then you've got to treat it constantly, and so your cost is ongoing. That's not the case with STL Fenceworks. And by the way, this is a company built right here in St. Louis. This is a company also that uses American-made materials and products. And that's why they saw what was coming and they stocked up on inventory that saves money. A lot of other companies have to raise their prices, because of tariffs and because of other material shortages. Not STL Fenceworks. They use American-made products. They're using domestic supplies. And so this saves you money. Get a free estimate. Go to stlfenceworks.com to contact them. You can also call them 636-669-1608. You're probably not going to remember that number, but do remember stlfenceworks.com. Get that free, no obligation estimate and find out what they can do for you. stlfenceworks.com. Tell them Mike Ferguson was bragging about him on the radio.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
It's Tuesday. We'll talk with David Stokes from the Show Me Institute about the Festus Data Center lawsuit and Sunshine Law claims at 420.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Shannon Scott with your first alert forecast. We're tracking highs towards the upper 30s this afternoon, mostly sunny skies. Then we'll look at a warmer Wednesday, highs towards the mid-40s, the warmest days out of the foreseeable future. We'll continue to cool into the weekend with Arctic air on the way, causing a first alert weather day into Saturday morning for overnight lows back towards that 0-degree mark. We'll also look at the potential for some weekend snow ahead. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shannon Scott.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris.
How are you, Vic?
I don't want to put anybody else down, but that when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that, the stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good, casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that because you can get all the information you need, understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Vince Colonnese. I'll talk to you tonight at 8, but now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show on News Talk STL.
Right, so how much do radical leftists hate immigration enforcement? Not just in Illinois, but everywhere. But particularly, we're going to talk about the east side of the St. Louis metro area here. Hit your button there, yeah.
Yep. Well, now they hate it like with the fire of 1,000 suns. They didn't used to hate it, but they hate it now because, Orange Man.
So in Illinois, some of those unbelievably radical leftists want to give those who are in federal law enforcement essentially a lifetime ban from working in law enforcement in the state. That's one of the proposals.
Okay. So I don't even know where to begin with that.
Right. So at least they want to continue if they want to work, like I said. So if you got somebody who's an ICE agent and they want to say, you know what, I think I want to take a job with the Illinois State Police, or I want to take a job with the Rantoul Police Department, or whatever the case is. Illinois state lawmakers, some Democrats have something to say about that. We've got Shannon Adcock now from our friends at Awake Illinois on with us. And so this sounds like something almost that the Babylon Bee would come up with, Shannon, but the radicals in the legislature, at least some of them in the assembly, they are literally proposing that if you have worked for ICE, maybe some other federal law enforcement, that you would have a lifetime ban and would be ineligible to serve in any other law enforcement in the state of Illinois. Am I framing the basics of that right, Shannon?
You absolutely are. So thank you for having me on this morning. And I can tell you that already there's a lot of pushback against Senator Laura Fine, who's in the North Shore suburbs of Chicago. She is being reckless with this bill. So at a time when every police department in Illinois is struggling to fill vacancies, we should be welcoming qualified professionals. Here with this SB 2820, she's saying that we should ban them. So this sends a dangerous message. It says that law enforcement is the enemy. And look, even Wokeville, Chicago, people want safe communities. And they know that the most highly trained of ICE agents, when they join a local police department, they are highly qualified at de-escalation, at tactics, strategy, all the things. So if we're in a recruitment crisis and crime concerns are rising, why would we want to blacklist an entire group of trained professionals? So I think we're going to be able to really rise to the occasion as we have in the past with stopping this radical legislation. And we're sending a message to the senator in a midterm election and these sponsors, pull this bill.
Shannon, good morning. This is Susie Moore. How big of a push is there for this? Is it just one senator's sort of, vanity project, or is there a group supporting the legislation?
Well, we're tackling this super early. So she just filed it January 13th. I do think vanity project is probably applicable, but it can only be a vanity project if there's no pushback. So if we send a message of our own saying, hey, we want our families to be safe, we want qualified people joining our local law enforcement, I think she's going to be forced out of pressure to either just let this park or pull it entirely. But I'm hearing from quote, moderate Democrats, I still don't know what that means, but, people who want to ride the fence, they're not happy with her on this. And, you have people in the suburbs that are watching what happened in that Barrington resale shop. I don't know if you saw that luxury boutique in Barrington. They were ransacked. And people in the suburbs want safe communities. And they know that local law enforcement is the way to have safe communities, to have that peace. And if you're saying that you're going to restrict qualified people from joining local law enforcement, that's a problem.
Okay, I'm gonna challenge a little bit about what was just said regarding essentially. I think you're right, Susie. I think it is a vanity project, to something that sounds like. But as extreme as the fringe is, and they are the ones basically driving the Illinois Assembly right now, I don't think we can underestimate the fact that something like this could actually make it through the assembly with the way that it is. I mean, I think it's something that can be
100%.
Yeah, I mean, look at some of the other stuff they have been passing.
Right, I know, but it's been passing because there hasn't been enough pushback. And so if this is potentially going to hurt families everywhere and not help them, that's really the message that has to be sent to Springfield, that we do have a ceiling, even in the super woke Marxist majority state of Illinois. suburb safety, rural safety, we rely on our sheriffs and our police chiefs to hire qualified individuals. To simply use Trump derangement syndrome to have this vanity project or to please this minority fringe base that claims to hate police, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to stop this in its tracks. And it's a terrible time to really be anti-police. I mean, the tensions across the country are palpable. We should want qualified individuals. And these individuals with ICE, if they choose to work for a local law enforcement, that's huge. That's a benefit to the local police departments.
Shannon, have we seen any commentary on this or this idea from Governor Pritzker, or is it just still too new?
No, it's still too new. We're hitting it early, which is good. And I've been talking to some of our allies in Springfield. They're keeping a close eye on how many emails we've already sent to the Assignments Committee and to Senator Laura Fine and the sponsors. We've had over 250 over 2 days and a holiday weekend. That's pretty exceptional. Any lobbyist knows that if legislators hearing from 8 or 10 people on a bill, that's huge. They've already gotten emails from more than 250 people just through our forum over the weekend. So we're just getting started.
Now, was this proposal limited to just law enforcement who worked with ICE, or did it include any other
Correct.
agencies?
No, so far it's just ICE.
Okay.
You know, she's just she's using this as clickbait for her base. But I have to tell you, like I said, moderate Democrats want qualified law enforcement. They are not anti-police. So this could really hurt her in a midterm election year, could hurt the co-sponsors. So we want to attach their names to this and say, pull this bill now.
So I wonder, from a political standpoint, just being very cynical, if there's some value to letting this build some sort of, some buzz, some discussion, so that it can be used in argument in terms of the elections and the upcoming midterms.
Yeah, sure, you can exploit it, but we're still going to fight it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is one of the things about Illinois where you've got completely different worlds in the north, and then basically the northern third of Illinois, and then the bottom 2/3 of Illinois. They might as well be in different universes, different worldviews, different mindsets, basically. But guess where all the population is on this. So Shannon, as we look into this isn't going to be the only radical piece of leftist virtue signaling that we're going to see, because we do have the ongoing fight over, the National Guard being present, DHS being present, operating, looking for illegal aliens, in Chicago and beyond. I mean, we had one illegal alien caught here in the metro area as well, and a big, protest over that sort of thing. So what we have here is basically some people want the state to go to political, if not law enforcement war with the Trump administration.
Yeah, I think that this is going to simmer down somewhat, because ultimately, like I said, the most primal of instincts are going to prevail. People want safety. They want public safety for everyone. And whether it's Chicago to the smallest downstate town, I think Illinoisans are genuinely united on this issue. We need protectors in our communities, not fewer. We need more. And so I think whether it's Senate Bill 2820 or any other radical bill, our grassroots platform has been very formidable in educating people. So I want to direct people to awakeil.com/fight. If there is a radical bill that we want you to know about and to submit opposition to, please head to that page, submit the form. It's one click. This is the way. Legislators pay attention to this. And if they know their constituents are unhappy, all they care about is getting reelected. They don't really care about representing you per se, but they care about power. And if you can tell them that this is absolutely egregious and you do not want it, head to awakeil.com/fight.
I'd like to think this was a standalone idea, but I suspect there are probably other equally far left legislators there in Springfield that are coming up with similar ideas to push back on immigration, just because that's such a hot topic right now. Have you seen other bills, maybe not exactly like this, but that are being proposed along these lines?
In Illinois, I haven't. I mean, only in Illinois is what I really pay attention to. I haven't seen anything in any other states. But you have to be careful. They could try and sneak another one in, right, while we're distracted by this one. And so the sad part about this to me is that you have these woke suburban women. They're so elitist. They're trying to push an anti-police narrative. I'm sorry, but it doesn't matter if we can disagree on other topics and other issues. People care about their personal safety. That's the reality. They want strong police departments. The whole defund the police thing is done. That was so 2020, and we're beyond it now. We want qualified individuals in our local law enforcement, and it doesn't matter if you're Chardonnay, woke or whatever, Chardonnay Antifa. If you're just this person rolling around your mansion in the suburbs, it's easy to talk like that among your wine club. But the reality, when you call 911, you want high response times and you want qualified people on that end. And there is no reason to discriminate against highly qualified ICE agents who are enforcing federal law. So basically, the senator is saying she's against federal law and she's against those who enforce it. Well, Illinoisans are going to be united on this. I think they're going to send her a message. Nope, we want any qualified individual to apply to our local law enforcement.
And Shannon, have we heard it all from the law enforcement associations, the sheriffs, or the police officers associations, or anything like that yet?
Good question. So we have our newly appointed law enforcement fellow, retired Riverside Chief of Police, Tom Weitzel. Hopefully you can connect with him. Guys like him who have been in law enforcement for decades, they're very unhappy with this. They do not want to be told who they can and cannot hire. So I think you're going to see some unification across those. National Police Association, I have a woman there named Paula. She's a lobbyist for them. She focuses more on federal legislation. She's going to come on our Wake Illinois podcast to discuss what's happening at the federal level. But she's been posting on X our call of action to say, hey, stop this in Illinois because this is insane. So the National Police Association, at least through her, they've been aware of this now. And so I think you're going to see more people really helping us lobby against this, which will be great.
Okay, and let's go ahead and give out the website again, because we can find the podcast on the website, right?
You can, yes. awakeil.com/fight. There's a form there, one click. Please join the hundreds of thousands that we have rallied to fight radical legislation. That opposition works. So please join us and unite against this bill.
Yeah, the good guys can win even in Illinois at times. So this is one of those areas where you're not just defeating a bill that maybe didn't have a super chance of passing, but you're sending a message and probably heading off other terrible bills in the process.
Yeah, and letting people know in a midterm year, and I don't care if they're Democrat or Republican, really get them on record as to whether they are pro-police. How would they vote on this bill if it were before them in Springfield? So I think if you have a hot-button issue that means a lot to your family, whether it is law enforcement, crime, education, whatever it may be, start asking those questions at these meet and greets. Start asking these candidates where they stand on these issues. Don't wait until it's too late and they're in Springfield and they're pushing all this craziness.
All right. Thanks, Shannon. We'll talk to you again soon, and we are going to catch up. We are going to catch up with Tom just a little bit later this week, too.
Awesome. Take care, you guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Have a good one.
Unbelievable.
Nuts.
Never say the statement, okay, well, that's as dumb as it's going to get in the Democratic caucus in Illinois, because they take it as a challenge.
You know what else is unbelievable? Is that Don Lemon is trying to reinsert him into the media spotlight, and he's doing it in potentially the most idiotic way that I can imagine. He seems to be enjoying his new moment in the spotlight, though, so find out why he says churches should not be protected from left-wing protesters. That's in the news dump at 6:50.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Smart people know it. Stupid people may not know it.
On NewsTalk-STL. If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the all-new NewsTalk-STL app.
Love the all-new app.
And listen anytime, anywhere.
42% of Missouri fourth graders can barely read. 42%. It's the worst result in 20 years. If kids can't read by third grade, they fall behind in school, and many never catch up. But other states have provided a roadmap for success. Missouri needs one universal reading test for all third graders and one clear statewide standard for what it means to pass that test. A struggling reader who still can't read after extra help and a second chance at the test should repeat third grade with some exemptions. We also need to end the outdated 3Qing method, which encourages guessing instead of reading, and require teachers to be trained in the science of reading. In Mississippi and Indiana, test scores jumped up dramatically after these reforms, and Missouri can do the same. Missouri children deserve to become confident, capable readers, and strong early literacy reforms can make it happen. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by the Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
This is Tony Colombo, and my favorite Capriati sandwich is the cheesesteak made with American Wagyu beef from Snake River Farms, and you have to include a side of their amazing fries. I love Capriati's, and you will too.
Open 9 to 9 daily on Manchester of McKnight in Rock Hill.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
I love that you're starting your day off right with Mike Ferguson in the morning. It's your boy Joe Pags. Talk to you tonight. But now let's get back to Mike.
Okay, our criminal charges in the future for the protesters who invaded a Minnesota church service.
Sounds like it.
It sounds like it is. And then, because I want to get your just quick thoughts on this in a minute, I'm going to do the story. And then from the legal eagle perspective, you know, how much of this is politics versus, no, there's actually laws that you broke on this. Also, abortion is back at the center of a court hearing in Missouri. And the Billikens are making a name for themselves nationally on this. All right, 6:51. Let's go ahead and do a news dump.
The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The morning news dump.
Okay, something about that protest in the church, and I think I know what it is, really hit people right in the gut all over the country. I mean, they're taking this personally.
Yeah.
Even if they're not church-going people or they're of a different religion or something, the video that those invaders, those protesters put out themselves has really struck a chord that I wouldn't even say that they didn't expect. I think they did expect it. I just don't know that they realize the backlash that they're going to get.
Yeah, I'm not sure they expected the level of backlash because this hits a lot of people where they live.
Right. The Justice Department's Civil Rights Division now working on an investigation there after those protesters went in and did all the chants and that sort of thing in Minneapolis in the middle of that church service for City's Church. So on the Will Cain Show on Fox, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche says the FACE Act protects churchgoers, and that's what could be used to prosecute.
You are not allowed to stop people from worshiping, and you're not allowed to intimidate or impede them. And so the individuals that went in there and did that, and you could tell that they had a plan, you could tell that they had an agenda.
Okay, so Don Lemon obviously went in with them. He's trying to both attach himself to what happened and distance himself from what happened at the same time. And he says he wasn't part of the group, but he joined him in entering the sanctuary, and he also confronted one of the pastors there as well. So on a podcast, Lemon actually argued that the church does not have a right to have a protest-free worship service.
And there's a certain degree of entitlement. I think people who are, in the religious groups like that, it's not the type of Christianity that I practice, but I think that they're entitled, and that entitlement comes from a supremacy, a white supremacy. And they think that this country was built for them, that it is a Christian country, when actually we left England because we wanted religious freedom.
So the FACE Act limits protest outside of abortion clinics and places of worship at the same time. So virtue signaling politics, or no, there's looks like a demonstrable violation of the law here.
It looks like there's a demonstrable violation of the law here, and that might not be the only law that could apply.
Yeah, because somebody mentioned the Ku Klux Klan Act.
Yes.
And somebody pointed this out on Twitter, and I wish I put this together, and I were the first person to say it, but I'm not. The irony of Don Lemon being charged with the KKK, violating the KKK Act on Martin Luther King Day is kind of glorious.
I thought that was a Babylon Bee article.
Yes.
And I looked deeper into it, and I was like, that is just such a great moment in history.
It is.
So it's an old law that was enacted in 1871, but it basically allows the federal prosecution for conspiracies to deny rights.
Okay.
So there could be some application here because they were clearly denying the right to worship, the First
Right.
Amendment rights of the people who were there in the church service.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So, I mean, yes, is it ironic?
Could they be?
Yeah.
Could they face charges under both of those different laws?
Yes, they are not mutually exclusive.
Okay. So they could really pile on. And I've got a feeling, I mean, when I was listening to Harmeet Dillon do some interviews on some of the cable news, I think she's looking to pile on.
Yeah. No,
I mean-
Harmeet doesn't play.
Yeah, she wasn't messing around.
She might knit. She doesn't play.
Yeah.
If she's saying they're looking at this, they are looking
Yeah.
at this.
Man. All right. The trial over regulations on abortion in Missouri resumes. That is happening in Jackson County, where Planned Parenthood, I would say they are among the plaintiffs. They're really the primary plaintiff in this case. And they're challenging Missouri's medical regulations on abortion. So they are arguing that the state constitutional amendment passed in 2024 outlaws basically any restrictions. And among the regulations that they are challenging and they want struck down is a requirement that if you're going to have a surgical abortion, that a doctor has to do the surgery. That's actually one of the things they are
What
challenging.
a concept.
Yeah. So arguments are expected to conclude later this week, and obviously we have no idea when a ruling is going to be handed
No,
down on
there's
that.
no set time for that.
Yep. Okay, the annual March for Life is scheduled and takes place this week.
Hundreds of thousands of people from all across the nation are expected in Washington, D.C. on Friday for the event. It commemorates the 1973 Supreme Court ruling that legalized abortion in all 50 states. And despite the fact that Roe v. Wade has now been overturned, the march goes on. Organizers say, quote, "The necessary work to build a culture of life in the U.S. is not finished. The goal of the march is ultimately to make abortion unthinkable." Michael Harrington reporting.
And we can only hope and pray that there's no violent attacks on that.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're going to be combating bitter cold.
Yes. Speaking of which, keep an eye on the weather forecast here, too.
This weekend's going to get...
Yeah. So there is that winter storm, massive winter storm that is expected to bring very dangerously cold weather. Looks like some snow to the region as well here. So although it's too early to tell if the snowstorm part of it is actually going to hit St. Louis.
Right.
Yeah, we don't know yet. We don't know if we're in the path of that storm. But Friday night or Saturday, whatever we're going to get, that's when we're going to get it.
Saturday morning is my doggy duty. So
Well, you may be fine. You know, you may be fine because some forecasters...
It's going to be 4 degrees.
Well,
I'm not going to be fine.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair, yeah. So some forecasts are indicating that the worst of this is likely to go south of the metro area, but we're really not going to know for sure probably for another 36 hours or so. So we'll see what Steve Templeman says over at Channel 4 and keep an eye on. But keep an eye on that. Look at your plans and say, what's the plan B if? You know, kind of thing. Okay, the Billikens are now ranked in the men's basketball top 25.
Wow.
And we're talking NCAA Division I. We're talking with the big boys here. SLU is 17-1 on the season, and they break into this week's AP poll at number 24. Illinois also in the top 25. They are ranked number 11. Remember, SLU is in the ACC, so they're in a major conference, and they've got a tough schedule. They didn't beat 17 junior colleges. They beat some impressive teams. So look at SLU, man. I don't know if anybody saw that one coming.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Speaking to David Stokes, Director of Municipal Policy at the Show Me Institute, tell Chris and I about Waymo, these robo-taxis.
That is pretty obvious that these cars are much safer than human-driven cars. And much like I like horses, I like humans.
Dave, my God, man, they're killing cats.
I'm not an expert, but I do believe in the history of America that probably some human driving a car has also run over a cat.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
If you're worried about losing your health insurance through Medicaid, we have great news for you. New government regulations have expanded the Affordable Care Act. And now you may qualify to get health insurance for you and your family through the Affordable Care Act. Call now to learn if you qualify. We know the healthcare regulations regarding Medicaid, and we've helped thousands of people find quality, affordable health insurance. Plus, all our research is free to you. So call us. With just one call, we'll shop from hundreds of different insurance companies to find you the right affordable health insurance plan. So if you're worried about losing your Medicaid insurance, call right now. Speak with a licensed agent and find how you may qualify for a new health insurance plan.
800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. That's 800-479-0931. Paid for by the Health Insurance Hotline.
The latest news.
Right now, we are going to do something on Greenland.
Iran says it's ready for dialogue, but its actions say otherwise.
We are enforcing federal law. If you don't like the laws, go change them, but don't do it by giving place to these protesters.
Joe Biden left us a mess. 10 to 20 million people came across the border illegally.
This is another piece of misinformation campaign that they have started to provoke President Trump.
101.9 and 94.1.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Well, the weather outside really is frightful across parts of the Great Lakes and the Northeast. Not only are dangerously cold temperatures settling in, but the snow is really piled up in some places, and that's making for hazardous travel on the roads.
It was white out. Fueled by the Great Lakes, snow blanketed Michigan Monday, triggering a massive pileup on a highway southwest of Grand Rapids. Pedro Mata Jr. had been driving a plow truck.
It was a little scary just listening to everything, just the bangs and the booms behind you.
More than 100 vehicles colliding. Jeff Westfeld with Grand Valley Towing.
Full-blown accidents.
Mata says he saw some trucks jackknifed, others swerving to avoid more collisions.
At that point, I just veered off to the left side of the median and chose to go over the ditch instead of colliding with any of the trucks.
Michigan State Police reported numerous injuries, but no deaths. I'm Ben Thomas.
The Greenland controversy is expected to take center stage this week at the World Economic Forum. President Trump departs Washington for Davos, Switzerland this evening. The president is threatening to tariff NATO nations that oppose his plan to win control of Greenland, which Mr. Trump says is crucially important to U.S. national security. In London,
it is a profound honor to be speaking in Parliament today, to be the first U.S. Speaker of the House ever given this honor, and I take it very seriously. As proud Americans, it is as though we have returned to the spiritual birthplace of our own nation.
Louisiana Republican Congressman Mike Johnson tells British lawmakers that he is confident the U.S. and the U.K. will work together to overcome the challenges of our present day. Wall Street gets back to work today following the long holiday weekend. Right now, the Dow futures down 587 points. NASDAQ futures off 415. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Progressive's accident response can detect and send help when you need it most, after a major car accident. But other accidents, you're on your own. Like when you accidentally call your wife Mom. When you accidentally say Happy Holidays on someone's birthday. When you accidentally wave at someone you thought was waving at you. We can't help with those accidents, but Progressive's accident response provides peace of mind after major car accidents. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Limited availability in California. Driver is responsible for emergency and towing charges not covered by the policy.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner.
Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Shannon Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're tracking highs towards the upper 30s this afternoon, mostly sunny skies. Then we'll look at a warmer Wednesday, highs towards the mid-40s, the warmest days out of the foreseeable future. We'll continue to cool into the weekend with Arctic air on the way, causing a first alert weather day into Saturday morning for overnight lows back towards that 0-degree mark. We'll also look at the potential for some weekend snow ahead. From the first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shannon Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
It's more than a rebellion. When your teen is slipping into drugs or alcohol, when social media and pornography consume their time and their mind, when depression and even suicidal thoughts cast a shadow over your home, as a parent, you feel powerless. There is hope. At Turnabout Ranch, troubled teens step away from the chaos and into a clarity of nature on a working cattle ranch. Care for horses, learn responsibility, build trust, and rediscover purpose. It isn't theory, it's real work, real therapy, real healing. Families from across the country have found transformation right here, just when they thought hope was gone. If your teen is struggling with addiction, harmful online behaviors, even weight management, call right now and get the help you all need.
800-219-2494. 800-219-2494. 800-219-2494. That's 800-219-2494.
Mike Ferguson.
What is that private pile? Sir, jelly donut, sir. A jelly donut?
Susie Moore.
Mama don't like tattletales.
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, of course, we want you to be checking out NewsTalkSTL.com. Keep track of what's going on around here, around the country. Of course, we rely on Red State for coverage and news and opinion, but let's not forget that other source of news that we should all be appreciating.
Indeed.
The Babylon Bee. They've been kind of on fire lately. Okay, so I think, you know what? We're talking about all this stuff. So let's look to see how the Bee does it. Do you have the Bee up on your computer?
Don't.
Okay. You got the Bee up?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so let's look at some of these headlines and just kind of go around the room and look at their take on this. The one that jumped out at me, and listen, if you're not engaged in, don't understand the different denominations and stuff, you may not know the humor in this, but trust me, it's hilarious. One of the top stories over there on the right side, Pentecostal church doesn't notice a riot's occurring.
Love it. Love it.
St. Paul, Minnesota, according to sources, membership at a local Pentecostal church failed to notice when protesters stormed the building and began screaming.
Yeah. I mean, if you've been to a lively church, I think you have, Jerome. I was at a wedding at a very, very animated church service, and it was something. But yeah, I could see how you kind of get lost in the shuffle of that if you're trying to riot and everyone else is just, having a great time worshiping the Lord.
That's right. They're all rioting already.
Yeah.
It's a Jesus riot.
Oh, yeah.
That's the best kind.
Jesus riot wins out over your devil riot.
That's right.
You got to feel the presence of the Holy Spirit.
Indeed.
Oh, man. All right. What do you see? What jumps out at you?
Well, since we've been talking a lot about technology lately and stuff, there was actually, Apple made an entirely brilliant technological breakthrough. Apple introduces new iPhone for your other hand. So the world's most popular and trend-setting tech manufacturer set the consumer world on fire once again this week as Apple introduced a new iPhone for your other hand.
There you go. That's it. That's it.
And I've been wondering, what do I do with this hand? Well, now I have both hands filled.
There you go.
There will be no eating. There will be no driving. There will be no nothing.
Just consuming information.
Thank you,
Won't be
Babylon
awkwardly
Bee.
trying to find how to get your hand in your pocket and then feel weird for leaning over,
Yeah, I like this one. AutoPen says its biggest regret is nominating Ketanji Brown Jackson. Oh, they've got Ketanji Jackson Brown.
Oh,
they've got it backwards.
Do they?
I said it right. It's Brown Jackson.
Yeah.
We also have a statement from Pam Bondi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Pam Bondi promises to prosecute Minnesota rioters as soon as she finishes releasing all those Epstein files.
Oh, dear.
So we may be here for a while.
Yeah. I'll get to it any day now, she told reporters. I'm still in the process of examining these files. It takes time. As soon as I'm done with the Epstein stuff, I'll absolutely be tracking down those protesters.
There's a good one. Troops begin assembling IKEA tanks to defend Greenland. I like that.
Now, related to that, the Babylon Bee, Trump challenges Danish prime minister to ping pong match. Winner gets Greenland.
Why not?
You know what? That way. There's no talk about I'm not taking military off the table. Let's go all Forrest Gump.
I was just going to say, I'm picturing Forrest Gump and like a madcap round of ping pong between Trump and
bringing a ringer.
I love it.
For
I
America
love it.
on that. Oh my goodness. Let's see here. What else do we have here? Okay, but you'd have to see the picture. It's a picture of the president sitting in the Oval Office with Tucker Carlson standing right next to him.
Mm-hmm.
And the headline is Trump holds Oval Office summit with prominent Muslim leader.
Ouch.
Brutal.
Mm-hmm.
But why does that feel so true right now?
Well, someone's singing a different tune these days, let's just say.
There's actually a really good and pertinent guide that they released as well. It's 9 easy ways to avoid getting attacked by law enforcement.
Oh, that's important.
Wait a minute, let's delve into that. What are some ways, thanks to the Babylon Bee, we'll know not to get attacked by law enforcement?
So,
okay,
first one, don't do illegal things.
Oh,
I mean, that just seems so hard to actually achieve. If other people are doing illegal things, don't join them in doing illegal things. That's some pretty good advice. Don't try to stop police from arresting people doing the illegal things.
Okay.
Make sure you ask before you touch their gun.
Oh, well, I mean, and that's just polite.
I was going to say, that's just good form.
Keep your kidnappings to an absolute minimum.
I mean, you can't avoid them altogether.
Right.
I mean, sometimes you just have to do what you have to do.
Yeah, cut back.
Yeah,
cut back.
yeah. I mean,
everything in moderation.
I mean, inflation, it all makes it more troublesome.
Number 6, if there is a big riot with people throwing bricks at police, drive the other direction.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Number 7, this one might be the easiest or hardest, I suppose. Move to California. Number 8, no matter how cool your weapon is, don't pull it out and show the police. And number 9, if the police tell you to do something, just say okay.
Kind of reminds me, this is an updated version of that old Chris Rock video.
Oh, yeah.
How to not get your ass kicked by the police.
Okay. You know what? That sounds like pretty good advice, I have to say. So good on the Bee for providing that. I did see this article, too, that looks intriguing. Antifa protests violence by viciously beating bystanders. Yeah.
Wait a minute, is that a real headline or is that the Bee?
That's the Bee.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well, it's sometimes hard to tell.
It's hard to tell.
It is.
They're protesting violence by being violent.
Yeah.
I always want to have to. I always have to give a shout out to the Bee because they changed the course of history. You do realize that, right?
Yes. Tell me how.
Because it was because they got suspended from Twitter that it caught Elon Musk's attention.
Yeah.
And it's because of that he decided to buy it. And it's because he bought it that it is at least arguably a free speech platform and one in which even conservative ideas can be expressed without being sent to the clinker. It all goes back to the Babylon Bee.
That is amazing. I did not
Way to
actually
go, Seth.
know that, but great. I'm so grateful for them.
Yeah.
Now, here's one. NATO begs for U.S. emergency funding so they can defend Greenland from the U.S.
Well, wait, that's not the Bee.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's really happening, right?
Yeah.
I love this one. This is related. Trump warns Minnesota if the riots don't stop, he will start posting in all caps.
No, not that.
I'm just saying is that you may agree with what he's saying, but his grammatical interpretation of the words and what's capitalized and what's not, and his choice of punctuation is not. It would make your primary school grammar teacher lose her mind.
It's creative.
That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it.
It's creative thinker. He's a creative writer.
Creative with the rules of grammar, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, what else do we have here?
Well,
go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, there are 2 lists that caught my eye. So number 1 is listen up, ladies. Here are 8 beauty tips to help you attract a hunky conservative dude. And this one actually would have been helpful for this last season. 10 Christmas gift ideas for your leftist child.
Oh.
Okay.
and I kind of am afraid to click on this one.
Yeah, I don't know.
A brand new gender. You can help them create their brand new, very own gender.
Oh.
Allowance increases followed by tax increases.
Okay, yeah.
Battery-powered police car to flip over and set on fire.
Oh, well, there you go.
A crowbar and a ride to Nordstrom.
Oh, no.
The Play School Dr. Fauci Shrine.
Oh, boy.
A Vaccinate Me Elmo doll. A Chairman Mao pop-up book.
Okay.
Okay.
Coal.
Oh, well, yeah.
And last but not least, a whooping.
A whooping.
There you go.
My goodness.
I think my favorite that was posted a couple days ago here, Minnesota changes official state bird to screaming lesbian.
Oh, boy.
The picture is so perfect.
It is. It is. This is one that I think most parents can relate to. Study finds average parent spends 92% of life in school pickup line.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, do I not miss
Been
school
there,
pickup drop off?
been
that
there,
was
done that.
the nightmare bane of my existence for, almost 12 years.
It competed with the annual, kindergarten, grade school band concert.
Yeah, but that was just a one-time thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't every day,
That's
day in
true,
and day out.
yeah.
And the
No.
pickup line.
I was a single parent for, Amber was 4 when I became a single parent. So for 14 years, yes.
Oh,
Although
yeah.
when she was high school, she was
Right.
mobile. But yeah, for many, many years.
Yeah, no, I was the one in charge of dropping
Yeah.
child and picking child up. So, the fact that there wasn't more violence erupting from the the pickup line is actually a minor miracle.
Well, they had already listened to Chris Rock's video. They knew the deal.
Yes, they knew the deal.
That's what it was.
Maybe they learned their lesson. I don't know. Well, the bee is it's an important resource.
They're
it's
on
an
it.
incredible resource. We appreciate them. Hey, you know what? There's a big event coming up that we all want you to be aware of. The Freedom 13 Support Our Troops Gala. Join the Freedom 13 and NewsTalkSTL in honoring our heroes. The Salute Our Troops Gala night takes place on Friday, February 27th at the Foundry Arts Center in St. Charles from 6 to 11 p.m. The Freedom 13 organization was created to not only remember and honor Jared Schmitz and his 12 fellow American heroes, but every American hero that made the ultimate sacrifice. Their mission is a simple one: to help our veterans and police officers and their families. So go to newstalkstl.com for all the details and to purchase tickets.
Before you blow us all away. You wanna do that now? Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Mike Ferguson in the morning
I like it, but they're going a little overboard with the dancing.
on News Talk STL.
Hey, it's that time of year where you're spending most of it indoors, so you may be looking around your house and thinking, it's time to do some sprucing up. And one of the best ways to do that is by getting new flooring. So if you're thinking about that, the best place for you to do that is to go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. They're a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years, so you can count on them. I used them in the past. I had a great experience with them, and you will too. They've got every kind of option you could possibly dream of: carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone. Lots of options for you to choose from. Plus, with Michael's, your installation is going to be done right the first time because it's being done by the experts at Michael's, not just some random subcontractor. The best combination ever is what you get when you go to Michael's. It's great quality and great value. So you can shop in store at one of their 3 locations on Olive and Creve Coeur, on Town Square in Darting Prairie, or on Main Street in St. Peters, or you can shop in the comfort of your own home. Just go online to igotfloored.com.
Columbo and Company.
Join us every day for conversations with a wide variety of guests as we keep you informed and up to speed on all the important news and headlines you need to know.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Are you ready to take a totally tubular trip down memory lane? Join us for the ultimate 80s and 90s trivia night, raising funds for the Nick Schroer for State Senate campaign. Dust off your neon, grab your friends, and test your knowledge on all the classics, from mixtapes to sitcoms, boy bands to blockbuster hits, and maybe even some political questions. It's all happening Saturday night, January 31st at the Elks Lodge in O'Fallon, Mo. Reserve your table now by emailing nick@nickschroer.com.
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
Female millennial Trump supporter. I listen to it like every day. Like, seriously, you get it.
News Talk STL.
Good morning, St. Louis. Hey, it's Vince from The Vince Show right here on News Talk STL every weeknight at 8. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
All right, I don't want to spend a lot of time on the abortion trial in Missouri, but this is important, and I want to make sure we're all up to date on that because it also sets us up for that crucial referendum vote that we've got to win later on this year.
Yep.
So I want you to just know what's going on. So we're going to do that here in just a couple of minutes. And, of course, it's good to have a whole team of news hunters all over the web keeping us up to date on what's happening, of course. That's Red State.
Yeah.
Yep. So, Susie, what should we have our eye on today?
This is the Red State Rundown.
This caught my eye yesterday. Of course, it doesn't come as a big surprise. The Holocaust Museum board member, Bernie Sanders, reportedly hasn't shown up to a meeting in almost 2 decades.
Oh, jeez.
He's a board member of the Holocaust Museum.
I didn't know that part.
Well, I don't think he does either.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem. That's an article by Bob Hogue that you should check out. And you want to learn a little bit more about our quote-unquote independent Vermont senator. This one also caught my eyes from Ward Clark. 2028 Democratic hopefuls, for the presidency. 19 out of 20 of them think that biology is just a suggestion. In other words, only one of them was willing to acknowledge that a man cannot become a woman.
Which one? Well, we have to read the article. Yeah,
Well, you should read the article. Yeah. This one's by Ward Clark. Check it out. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's the one that you got to keep your eye on.
Shapiro Bashir?
Rahm Emanuel.
Oh, okay.
He's talking a lot of common sense stuff, and
that's new.
He's going to be a sleeper.
And he is a very skilled strategist.
Yes,
keep
he
that
is.
in mind. He's not. This is a pretty
Mark
smart guy.
my words.
Yeah.
You're going to be seeing a lot of Rahm Emanuel.
Okay.
Last but not least, Ward Clark has another one that's a VIP that I really think is worth checking out. It's titled "What Will America Be Like Post-Trump?" It's something to think about because we're going to get to that point at some point.
I've actually been thinking about that to some degree as well because we know things are going to be changed, but the Trump presidency is going to end at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's Macron doing with sunglasses on?
Oh, from the World Economic Forum, trying to look cool there.
I don't know. Is he
failing? But he's trying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Got my attention.
Yeah.
Anyway, go check out redstate.com.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. All right. Okay, so I mentioned this in the news dump. Planned Parenthood is challenging Missouri's abortion regulations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now that's nothing new, but they do have a massive leverage point after the horrific constitutional amendment was passed in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what's going on. And I actually read the story because I always sometimes want to go to the other side to read their reporting of this.
Sure.
So I found this on the Missouri Independent. Follow them on Blue Sky if you'd like. And let me read 2 paragraphs from their article. Among the laws being challenged is a requirement that only doctors provide abortions, a ban on prescribing medication abortion through telehealth, facility licensing requirements, admitting privileges and a written transfer agreement at a nearby hospital, and a state-approved complication plan for medication abortions. Those are the things Planned Parenthood is challenging.
All of which sound perfectly reasonable when you're talking about a pretty significant surgical and or medical procedure that could have complications that need to be addressed.
Well, and also
if you're worried about the health of women.
If you're worried about that, but that's where we part with Planned Parenthood. So also regulations that apply to every other medical procedure in the state. We're not talking about earring piercings at Claire's in the mall or whatever is there now. We're talking about when there's anything minimally or significantly invasive.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about chemical prescription drugs.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about that. These are things that apply to everything, but Planned Parenthood says it should not apply to abortion. Maybe one of the most invasive things you can do if you are doing the actual physical dismemberment
Right.
Procedure.
Yeah, because abortion's special.
Right. I've said many times, it's a sacrament.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sacrament for the left.
It is.
It's really sick. And then they go on to say in the Missouri Independent, these regulations eventually halted nearly all access to abortion in Missouri as more and more women seeking to terminate a pregnancy sought care in Illinois and Kansas. By the time Missouri's abortion ban went into effect in 2022, thousands of Missourians were already leaving the state each year to end their pregnancies. Okay. So what's at stake right now is how sweeping is that constitutional amendment? The reality is the way that it's written, plain language, I think Planned Parenthood might win this case.
They might.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which was one of the biggest arguments that was against it and why we were screaming from the mountaintops, do not pass this. Understand people have different viewpoints on whether there should be, legal abortions or not. I understand that. But this amendment isn't the way to do it.
Right.
Don't enshrine it in our Constitution and don't do it this way. And guess what they did?
They did. Now, were voters lied to about it? Sure, absolutely. Guess what? Every election, somebody's lying to somebody. It's on us to know what the truth is. So the reason that I wanted to bring that up, because I tell you, I hate talking about the abortion issue. I am passionate about being pro-life. I hate talking about the abortion issue for a couple of reasons. One, almost nobody listening or watching is going to change their mind. They're going to come in and they're already pro-life or they're pro-abortion. They're not going to change their mind. However, we can equip those with the truth to get to those who are not even necessarily looking for a change of mind on the issue, but possibly would make a decision on being involved and making sure they show up to vote and not being fooled again.
Yeah. I just want to push back on one thing.
Okay.
I am living proof that people can change their mind on abortion.
Yeah.
I'm not alone. I'm not unique. But anytime people have this discussion and then there's this understandable frustration and feeling like, no one's going to change their mind. No one's going to be moved. It's not true if it's approached the right way.
What changed your mind?
People engaging me in actual, thoughtful conversation that was kind of Socratic, and it was over time. It was not a one-day thing. It was not, it was all part of my evolution from liberal to conservative, but that was a key aspect of it because I had always been someone who I would qualify as pro-choice. I was like, I don't think I would ever make that choice for myself, but I'm not going to interfere with somebody else's, that sort of thing. And then I didn't want to think about it beyond that. I didn't want to think about what it actually was. I didn't want to actually delve into it. And there were people, it was a political message board that I belonged to, where I was one of the few liberals. And there were people who, instead of just getting into arguments about it, over time engaged me and drew me out in conversation and asked me to consider the logical, to take things through to their logical conclusion. And it worked because eventually the more I thought about it, the more I realized, well, no, wait a second. No, I don't agree with that. No, I don't, life is valuable. It is to be protected. And so it can be done. It doesn't get done generally on social media.
Oh, no.
And it doesn't get done by, beating people over the head with stuff or throwing talking points at them.
Sometimes we'd rather be right and own the libs than actually save a life by winning a heart and a mind and a vote.
And that's the key, because that's how you do it. Just like the soundbite from Michael Harrington, the March for Life. Obviously, people that are there for the March for Life are pro-life.
Right.
But and obviously Dobbs overturned Roe v. Wade. But the ultimate goal is to make it unthinkable, because it should be unthinkable. It is the taking of innocent life.
And the most defenseless innocent.
Correct.
So let's transition that into what we've got to do this year. Because, we've got Missouri Right to Life. The Missouri Republican Party has said we're going to put massive resources into this.
Good.
So there is, which is very good because of the resources that they've got. But I don't want people thinking of this as a partisan conservative or leftist or Republican or a Democrat thing, because it's not.
No.
And what's going to happen is if we're able to pass this, and we're going to pass the good Amendment 3, if we're able to do that, it is not quite as strict as what we had before. but it clarifies what we do allow. And we've actually had people from the pro-life organization say this is what we know is within the taste of the Missouri voter.
Mm-hmm.
We can go back for the rest later if we need to tighten up and there's still lives being lost. But the areas that were ambiguous enough for the other side to lie about, that's cleaned up here. Now, but keep in mind, most people go to vote. They don't do that level of research.
No.
They make decisions based on arguments being made and headlines and whatever their favorite news source
Snippet
is.
summaries.
Right. And so that's why it's on us not to win an argument or a debate, but to do what people were doing with you. And that means everybody, the thousands of people who are listening here and watching here, that means it's if you value life and you know how important this is, not because it's a conservative thing or a Republican or Democrat thing, but because lives are literally at stake. And so to follow that path that you just said that people offered to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's that important. If you are someone who believes in this cause, you have to be willing to do the work, and that it is hard work, and it takes patience, and it takes, faith, but it's worth doing.
So there is a left-wing attorney that says, no, you don't have a right to peacefully worship in your church in America. We'll hear from him at 7:35.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
The strong protecting the weak and the good defeating evil.
On NewsTalkSTL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Shannon with your first alert forecast. We're tracking highs towards the upper 30s this afternoon, mostly sunny skies. Then we'll look at a warmer Wednesday, highs towards the mid-40s, the warmest days out of the foreseeable future. We'll continue to cool into the weekend with Arctic air on the way, causing a first alert weather day into Saturday morning for overnight lows back towards that 0-degree mark. We'll also look at the potential for some weekend snow ahead. From the first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shannon Scotch.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Jim Talent, former U.S. Senator, did Pete Hegseth commit a war crime, in your opinion?
No. My only concern is that we're not getting enough drug boats. It's the first effective thing I can remember we've done to strike at these cartels, not only to take out particular shipments of drugs, but to deter others. And I'm not going to cry crocodile tears for any of them.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. Larry Connor's commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
So another day of protest against ICE. Leftists claiming our government is out of control. ICE agents are the Gestapo. Those protesters in the streets insisting we stand to protect others, the weak ones. ICE is inhuman. ICE is kidnapping, killing those they arrest. A lot of that is not anywhere near the truth. Recently I said those protesters are not as brave as they try to act. And if they really cared about human rights, they would be standing with the people of Iran. They are truly being kidnapped, raped, tortured, executed. Why? Because they want freedom. But you don't find these pansies daring to go to Iran and join those who are truly suffering. Well, now British author J.K. Rowling is also calling them out. The Harry Potter author says, if you claim to support human rights, but you can't bring yourself to show solidarity for those fighting for their liberty in Iran, you revealed yourself. You do not give a damn about people being oppressed and brutalized. She nailed it. No, these in our nation are silent, pansies, cowards.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Streaming TV is where it's at. It's not about cutting the cord anymore. That's old news. It's all about your customized TV options. With the best and cheapest high-speed internet and your own TV subscriptions, we've got your dream TV lineup. Between wired and satellite internet and TV, you now have tons of options. Save money and get more internet speed and better TV today by calling the Whole Home Connect. We scan your location and offer you the best TV and internet options. And we always have specials and promotions. So when you call, ask about that. Take 5 minutes of your time, make this free call now, and learn how to save money and get better internet and TV for your home anywhere in the U.S. Make this simple and free call now.
800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. That's 800-257-1632. Is diabetes keeping you from enjoying life's special moments? At U.S. Med, we understand the challenges you face, and we're here to help.
With U.S. Med, I can finally manage my diabetes without it managing me.
U.S. Med offers a wide range of services to simplify your diabetes care. Personalized care plans, convenient access to cutting-edge diabetes tech, and knowledgeable support. Plus, we'll check your insurance so your diabetes care may be covered at little or no cost to you.
With U.S. Med, I feel confident and control of my diabetes. I can finally live my life to the fullest.
Don't let diabetes hold you back. Choose U.S. Med and experience better birthdays, better adventures, better anniversaries, and better everything. Call now. U.S. Med. Better service, better care. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Wherever I'm at, home, car, wherever.
Download the all-new NewsTalkSTL app.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Just the convenience on the phone. Streaming live on the mobile app.
Love the new app.
And listen anytime.
Everywhere.
Anywhere.
Larry Connors here. I begin my morning every day with the Mike Ferguson Morning Show while I'm doing my 10-mile run. Catch my program at 6. Now, back to Mike.
By the way, we do have some news that's coming out overnight out of Seattle. And so we don't have a lot of details on it. But, Jerome, you were looking at the headline here. We've got more federal law enforcement officers under attack. What do we know so far?
So right now, I'm looking at the video that was posted from overnight. 2 Portland police officers were shot by, they're claiming it was Antifa rioters, but they know for a fact it was just people that were trying to occupy an ICE facility in South Portland. And as of right now, I haven't seen anything confirming the conditions that the officers were in.
So we'll have details on that throughout the day. Susie, obviously you're watching that on Red State as well.
Yes. No, I'd seen the headline on social media. I haven't had a chance to delve into it. The reporting on it is from several hours ago, and it just says 2 PPB officers shot and injured.
Yeah.
So hopefully they're okay.
Yep. Okay. You know who's not okay is Don Lemon.
No. No, he is not.
He's not okay.
No.
But he's really enjoying his renewed place in the spotlight. I mean, he's like, you didn't forget me. You didn't forget me. Actually, we did, Don. But his and Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison's take on the whole thing that happened with that invasion of the city's church in St. Paul, Minnesota, their take is actually, no, churches do not have a right to an unmolested worship service. I mean, that's literally what they're arguing. It's bizarre.
It is what they're arguing.
And if you think, well, there's the right-wing conservative guy who's putting words in their mouth, no, that's not what's happening. So there were a couple of a podcast where this was all stated. For instance, Don Lemon went on, what her name is, Jennifer Welch.
Yes.
Yeah, and again, I know that like she's the big push right now for the podcast. I'm not familiar with her.
No, this is my point.
Yeah.
Nobody was until all of a sudden she was everywhere all at once, which is why it's not organic.
Yeah. So Don Lemon goes on her podcast, and she's asking about this, especially in the light of the fact that the Department of Justice flat out said they've already notified Don Lemon that you are the subject of an investigation. I don't know what the name of that procedure is or that part of the process.
I don't know.
But they've informally and they've informed him we are looking into your actions.
Okay.
And to those that they could identify from this mob that went into this church, which, by the way, did you see Libs of TikTok? One of those rioters is an elected member of the local school board.
Yes. Yes. And I think her husband is in like the state legislature maybe, or running for office
I
or
didn't
something.
see
There
that
is
part,
some
yeah.
connection there. The thing is that the leaders of this event, protest, riot, put all of their names online.
Yeah.
Like, high five. Everybody, thanks to Jane and Joe and whatever for showing up and doing this. So it's not
And-
like it's going to be hard to figure out
And
who
the
it was.
DOJ investigators are like, thank you very much.
Yep,
I think
thank
I'll
you.
screenshot that and write that down.
Yeah.
So here's Don Lemon doubling down on we had a right, because you see, when we're seeing more and more of the video coming out, immediately you see the pastor pointing out, get out.
Mhm.
So they were told right away, out, and they stayed. So here's Don Lemon defending that.
And there's a certain degree of entitlement. I think people who are, in the religious groups like that, it's not the type of Christianity that I practice, but I think that they're entitled, and that entitlement comes from a supremacy, a white supremacy. And they think that this country was built for them, that it is a Christian country, when actually we left England because we wanted religious freedom. It's religious freedom, but only if you're a Christian and only if you're a white male, pretty much. And so, yeah, I absolutely 100%, but it's an intimidation tactic. And, I said, I don't understand how I've become the face of it when I was a journalist. I do understand that I'm the biggest name there. And I'm also, as I was on with my producers this morning, you and Kylie talk all the time. My producers were saying, I said, how did I become the face of this? And my producer said, Don, you're a gay black man in America.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people have brought this up, and I just want to point out that there were journalists at the Capitol on January 6th who were part of the crowd documenting what was going on, who were prosecuted for just being there. Just saying. And that's the Capitol, which is a public U.S. government building, as opposed to a church.
Right.
So just noting that.
Yeah. Also, Don Lemon, who has his own podcast or his own streaming show.
And his own producer. He wants you to know.
Yeah, that
My
was
producer.
a big...
My
noticed.
producer. My producer.
Well, originally he said my producers. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I don't think you can afford producers. I mean, do you know how much money Jerome makes?
I don't.
Unreal. That Bentley out
Not
there?
nearly,
It's his.
not nearly enough.
So he's interviewing Attorney General Keith Ellison. Now, in a normal, law and order society, the Attorney General is watching the local prosecutor. If the local prosecutor doesn't say, clearly there's crimes, we're going to go after this, then the Attorney General could step in and do that. And he was asked about this, and he doubles down defending Don Lemon.
Attorney General, I know you know what's going on. I'm sure you've heard of what's going on. What do you think of this and what happened at the church and all that?
Well, let me tell you, I think that, the protest is fundamental to American society. This country started in a protest, and, it's freedom of expression. People have a right to lift up their voices and make their peace. And none of us are immune from the voice of the public. So quite honestly, I think that you got the First Amendment, freedom of religion, and the First Amendment, freedom of expression. And I think that, it's just something you got to live with in a society like this.
Okay, admittedly, I did not go to law school.
Apparently neither did Keith.
Okay, it's not just me going, huh?
No, it's not.
I've read a few books.
Yeah. Apparently the Attorney General for Minnesota has never heard of, time, place, and manner restrictions, any of the basic fundamental aspects of First Amendment law. And he's just sitting there spouting it off like, oh, yeah,
It's just something you have to get used to. Let me tell you what non-verbally was just stated. Different words. What was just said when Keith Ellison says, well, it's just something you have to get used to. Something you have to deal with. What he just said is Antifa, Black Lives Matter, Racial Justice Network, Communist Party, whatever. Every place that could be conservative or religious or orthodox, they are open season. Have at it.
You just got to live with it.
They just have to live with it.
Right.
That's what he told them.
Mosques, synagogues, Buddhist temples.
Yeah, pro-life meetings, Christian schools, Catholic schools. I mean, you know, you name it. That's the message that he just sent.
We need that little clip. That's not how this works.
Right.
That's not how any of this works.
So this was being discussed on News Nation yesterday.
Okay.
And Mary Margaret Olahan, who's the Daily Wire White House correspondent, was one of the guests. I thought she had an interesting take on it.
All these people were worshiping on a Sunday in their church, worshiping their God. And then these activists come in and storm the church. And look, not even 2 months ago, we had a shooter come to a Catholic church and kill school children. These people, many Christians and other denominations across the country are already bracing for violence. We've seen it all over the country. And now they have to brace for ICE protesters to come in, some of whom might be armed, as we're seeing in other instances. So, you know, Harmeet Dillon, Pam Bondi, they're talking about the action they're going to take. I think many Republicans across the aisle want to see action taken.
Okay, so once again, that's from News Nation.
Yeah, I mean, there are going to be repercussions now. Of course, this is Minnesota. I mean, it's federal. They can look at it federally, but they're going to be, you know, if there are charges brought, it's going to be in a Minnesota district court. And most of the federal district court judges are not of the most conservative variety, let's say.
But okay, but let me tap into your legal background. Even though they could be a Biden appointee or an Obama appointee or whatever, maybe still Clinton appointee at this age, very possibly. At some point, does even that have a limit if they are a person who has a shred of integrity?
It does, particularly in the criminal context, because we're talking about, you know, there's statutory provisions that are, there's a lot of precedent there, and there's a lot of guardrails in terms of what is and isn't allowed. It's a lot more rigid of a system than the civil system is. And so, yeah, I mean, there are going to be limitations to what they're doing. You know, I'm not going to liken this to, for instance, the prosecution in Virginia of Letitia James. There were structural issues with that prosecution because it was because of the way the attorney general was, or not the attorney general, the U.S. attorney was appointed and the way the indictment was brought. Those were procedural problems. We're not going to see that here. So if there's a colorable case to be made, and that's what they're doing, you know, there were people screeching at the top of their lungs, like within 12 hours of this, saying, why aren't they in jail? And Harmeet put out a really good tweet about this and was like, look, it's Sunday, and you've got to actually get a judge to sign off on the warrant. You got to go through a process in the federal system, but you want to do it right so that you can actually make it stick.
Right.
So
yeah, great. Get your perp walk, but they just walk them right out the back door to the
you
gazebo
don't want
in the
that.
park. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But I do think that Holleran, or how to pronounce it? Olahan, I do think she's right in that people want to see some result. They want to see some movement.
Yes, they do. And I think I think it's not unfair to expect that.
Yeah, I agree. Completely agree.
All right. You know, it's a lot.
It's a lot. It is.
We're
it
dealing
really
with
is. It
a
really is.
lot.
Yeah.
So let's just have a News Talk STL family chat coming up at 7:50.
And let me tell you, I know that, you know, in 2026, most of the time, you know, people are engaged in the conversation on social media. That's fantastic on the chat box. Don't be afraid to talk to us in person here. 314-912-1019. Because like Susie said, this is really heavy stuff. And I am afraid that people are going to start getting overwhelmed and disconnecting. So I am not about to tell you, stick it out, be tough, stay in the fight. I'm talking about, tell me what you want from us so we can give you what you need, but not contribute to the things that grind down your life. That's not what we do here.
Nope.
Mike Ferguson in the morning
The greatest of them all, gangster.
on News Talk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
If you turned 65 recently like me, it's important you find a Medicare Advantage plan that gives you the coverage you're looking for. But finding one can be difficult. The best thing I did, and I suggest you do the same, is call a licensed insurance agent and let them walk you through your Medicare Advantage plan options. There are so many benefits you have access to, so make the call now and let the representatives explain everything to you. Our licensed insurance agents can offer you a variety of Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, the call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation to enroll. We're here to make it easy for you to select a Medicare Advantage plan that may work for your needs. Finding a Medicare Advantage plan can be easy if you do what I did. Make a quick call right now to learn more. Thank you.
800-439-7851. 800-439-7851. 800-439-7851. That's 800-439-7851.
When you've got something to say, be heard loud and clear.
If they'll just do what they were voted in to do.
This party needs to get a backbone. They need to get some spine.
Join the conversation. St. Louis's place to talk.
The Democrats and the Republicans can give us all the lip service they want, but what they need to do is take action today.
1019 and 94.1.
You have to take a stand sometimes.
This is News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion.
Hey folks, Jamie Allman here, waiting for you for the 3 Martini Lunch, the Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Now back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
America, you're not just buying land, you're buying a country. Greenland, 800,000 square miles of ice and snow, only $700 billion. That's right, $700 billion. Greenland comes with free polar bears, glaciers, tundra, and Arctic real estate. No warranty, no refunds, no thinking required. Act now and you'll also get unpredictable weather, zero infrastructure, and a maintenance plan your grandchildren will still be paying off forever. Don't ask questions, buy now. Greenland, the price is insane.
I had to do it.
It's funny. It's funny. No matter where you are on the issue, it's funny.
Oh, man. All right. You mentioned this. A lot of bad news going on right now. I mean, so let's just be really, really candid. I'm going to pull the curtain back just a little bit. It's really easy to get overwhelmed. It's really easy to get burned out. Okay. So when I say I'm going to pull the curtain back a little bit, this is where News Talk family, let's just have a little talk, because this is going to probably be a bumpy year, you know, when it comes to what we're seeing with the division and the violence. And you were already chatting with one listener, and I wouldn't name any names or anything, who told you a while back, my mental health, I love you guys, but...
But quite literally, because of everything going on in the news, it's affecting their mental health,
Yeah.
and, their emotional health, and that they just need to take some time away, basically.
Well, and again, in the interest of, pulling the curtain back a little bit, we have regular meetings with our boss and everything, and trying to make the show as good as we can be. And I have mentioned a number of times, I said, I'm really worried about people getting overwhelmed and the fatigue, not giving up on principles, not losing passion for what's right, not giving up on the fight, but saying, I can't be overwhelmed with this 24 hours a day. And you know what? That's the right attitude. That is you saying, I'm not going to allow this to beat me down. And I want to cover what we have to cover, but I don't want to be a part of that kind of beat down that the news cycle is coming at us with.
I think it's important for people to recognize when they are starting to feel that sense of overwhelmed and anxious and, constantly at DEFCON 1. That isn't healthy. It isn't good for you. It's not good. It's not even just I'm not saying that I don't want to be glib about that. It's genuinely not good for you.
Right.
And we all spend too much of our time right now engaged in that sort of mindset. So it's important to recognize when you're starting to feel that way, that it is a good time to take a break. We don't want you to take a break from us, but we want to be a break.
Yeah. See, and that's exactly where I wanted to go with that. So let us know. Comment, send us emails, call me. I our job is to keep you informed as to what's going on. Now, again, media is terrible about one thing. And I'm talking conservative media, I'm talking left-wing media, I'm talking, the mainstream, again, leftist media. One of the things that the industry is bad about is there's so much competition for your eyes and your ears and your screen time that the headlines go to extremes. It is all about war. And the reality is that there are some bad things going on. We're going to get through them.
Yes.
We may have scrapes and bruises, but we're going to get through them, and we need to keep that bigger picture. And there is more to life than whether you are on the side of ICE or you're on the side of the Racial Justice Network or you're on the side of Missouri Right to Life or you're on the side of Planned Parenthood. There are clear rights and wrongs and clear things I think we have a responsibility to fight for. But when it comes to what we're doing here and the conversation we have every morning, what is it that you want for us to know that you're going to be informed? And if something's going to draw that passion, we're going to do it. But I don't want to play that game and do the garbage that so many other media outlets do. I just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So 101 straight up says that he's never been so involved / overwhelmed with events that his mental or emotional health has ever been negatively affected. And I think there are people that are able to be more stoic about it. Now, some people that I've actually was friends with for years before doing, radio work that are on the opposite end of my political spectrum never really had a problem until last year with how intense they were getting about things to where they ended friendships with me. They were getting very personal, attacky about things that had nothing to do with me. And so where I'm at now, it's, I enjoy roast humor, like the insult comedian. So that's kind of, I engage in a little bit of that, but I don't want it to be something where a couple of years down the road, I'm going to look back at, what was I doing behaving like that and acting like this during that time? Why did I engage with that if I didn't need to?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's just, it can be very heavy. And between this and Red State, I mean, it's like I'm immersed in it 24/7. So I think it's important for everyone to know that I don't want to say this is a safe space. That's let it. But this is I want people to know that this is an informative space and a fun space and a place where you can kind of kick up your feet and have some fun sometimes too in the midst of all the chaos.
Yeah, and again, that doesn't mean we're backing away from the big issues. It
No,
doesn't mean we're backing
we can't.
away from saying provocative things and that we're backing away from disagreeing on things. But you and I have disagreed on two things already today.
I've already forgotten them, but yes, we have.
yeah, I mean, just in the conversation,
Oh, yeah.
and I thought that ended up really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good thing.
Right.
Well, we're able to do it without coming to blows.
No, I mean, but that's the thing is I don't want to contribute to the toxicity.
No.
When
I don't either.
You got heavy stuff, I think there should be more leadership from those of us who are blessed with the opportunity to be in front of a lot of people. So my email address is Mike, M-I-K-E, @newstalkstl.com. Now, I get a lot of emails, so I can't say that I'm going to have time to reply to everything, but I will read them all. And so if you're saying, here's what I want less of this. Now, if you tell me hey, guys, do something every week on the latest Disney news, I cannot help you with that.
Hallmark, we might be able to work something out.
Maybe could do Hallmark. I have to turn that over to Susie on that. But, what I'm saying is that I am aware in my quest to obviously grow the show and grow the station, that there's a responsibility that goes along with that. And I'm sensing that there are people who truly are overwhelmed, and I get it. And I don't want to contribute to it, but I also want to contribute to making sure everybody is well equipped to fight the fights that need to be fight, because we can't back down.
No.
And part of not backing down means we have to take care of ourselves in order to be there for the fight when it matters.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
If you're worried about losing your health insurance through Medicaid, we have great news for you. New government regulations have expanded the Affordable Care Act. And now, you may qualify to get health insurance for you and your family through the Affordable Care Act. Call now to learn if you qualify. We know the healthcare regulations regarding Medicaid, and we've helped thousands of people find quality, affordable health insurance. Plus, all our research is free to you. So call us. With just one call, we'll shop from hundreds of different insurance companies to find you the right affordable health insurance plan. So if you're worried about losing your Medicaid insurance, call right now. Speak with a licensed agent and find how you may qualify for a new health insurance plan.
800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. That's 800-479-0931. Paid for by the Health Insurance Hotline.
Because truth matters.
Let's speak that truth.
Because understanding matters.
Let's break this down.
With all that's happening.
And it's happening a lot faster.
What matters most is...
the only question that matters here.
Are you informed?
Important issues that are facing this country.
Depend on us.
The latest events.
The information you need.
Here are the facts.
When you need it.
We always have great conversations.
You guys have a great radio station.
101.9 and 94.1. News Talk STL.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at
NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. And the crowd went wild. Thunderous applause for President Trump and family at Miami's Hard Rock Stadium last night, on hand for the College Football National Championship game.
Congratulations to Indiana. It was really turned out to be a great game. Two great teams, wonderful teams with a lot of talent. We enjoyed it very much. Secretary of State Rubio was there as well. The Hoosiers won their first national college football title, beating Miami 27-21. No snow there in Miami, but go north, and it's quite a different story.
Basically, the Southern Rockies, across the Southern Plains, the Mid-South, the Southeast, the Mid-Atlantic, possibly more of the northeastern seaboard. Friday through Sunday, we're expecting a major winter storm.
It's Ryan Johnson at the National Weather Service. Frigid Arctic air has settled in across the Great Lakes, the Northeast, and the Mid-Atlantic. The Greenland controversy swirls as President Trump heads to the World Economic Forum in Switzerland.
President Trump has principally cited national security for his desire to take control of Greenland, and the White House has not ruled out using force. European countries have sent troops to the Arctic region in recent days, and Swedish Defense Minister Paul Jansson says they're now looking at setting up a more permanent military presence.
Right now we're doing what is called a reconnaissance tour in order to identify what kind of needs there are when it comes to infrastructure and exercises and so forth.
Meanwhile, in Moscow, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov says if Trump takes control of Greenland, he will undoubtedly go down in history, though he did not say whether that's good or bad. I'm Ben Thomas.
Back to work today for Wall Street following the long holiday weekend. The Dow futures are down now, just over 700 points, off 726. More on these stories, townhall.com.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I had a lot of credit card debt, and it stressed me out. But what I thought was a solution turned out to be a problem. I kept hearing ads about debt settlement that seemed too good to be true. And actually, it was. When I called, they told me to stop paying my bills. That didn't sound right to me at all, so I hung up. Later, I found out that debt settlement is bad, real bad. Then I learned that there is a right way to pay off your credit cards. It's called a debt management program from the great team at Trinity. Trinity had a plan. In the end, I paid off my bills, I saved thousands, and I even improved my credit score.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-990-6976.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're tracking highs towards the upper 30s this afternoon, mostly sunny skies. Then we'll look at a warmer Wednesday, highs towards the mid-40s, the warmest days out of the foreseeable future. We'll continue to cool into the weekend with Arctic air on the way, causing a first alert weather day into Saturday morning for overnight lows back towards that 0-degree mark. We'll also look at the potential for some weekend snow ahead. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Craving seafood but worried it'll be too spicy or break the bank? La Juicy Seafood in O'Fallon has you covered. They're not your typical seafood joint. Choose from 5 spice levels, including not spicy, so everyone can enjoy our famous Cajun boils. Bring the family, doodle on the tables, enjoy the full bar with legendary margaritas, and feel right at home. La Juicy Seafood, 373 Winding Woods Drive, O'Fallon. Call 696-924-9171.
They served our country with honor. Now it's our turn to serve them. Join the freedom13.org for an unforgettable gala honoring America's heroes, February 27th at the Foundry Arts Center in St. Charles. A special evening supporting Freedom 13's bold mission. 50 camps in 50 states on more than 50,000 acres, building 650 homes for veterans, police, and their families. Tickets and sponsorship opportunities are available now. Visit thefreedom13.org. That's thefreedom13.org.
Mike Ferguson.
Read the room, buddy!
Susie Moore.
I'm tired of your shenanigans.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
Don't be kind. Don't be gentle. Pimp slap the tut-tutters.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, this is going to come as a surprise to our leftist friends. I'm actually seeing some of the video being replayed from that church in Minnesota when the crowd, the mob went in and invaded. It turns out that storming a church service with Marxist and anti-law enforcement chants and yelling at children and families, it turns out it did not win the rest of America over to the protesters' line of thinking.
Wait, so it's not a good idea to interrupt a peaceful service, screaming and yelling and causing chaos as your main way to try to convince them that you're right about something?
There wasn't somebody in Nebraska who said, I really thought we should enforce our immigration laws and arrest somebody who is committing violent crimes and in the country illegally. But you know what? They scared the living crap out of that little girl in the pews. I think they're onto something. Let me reconsider.
After the 20th time I heard Ice Out, I finally got it.
That's right. Oh, goodness. All right. If you're not subscribed to the Tony Kinnett podcast, well, first of all, what are you doing? You need to do that. But you can also check him out at the Daily Signal. Tony Kinnett joins us right now. Now, Tony, I'm not convinced that the protesters were, in all seriousness, worried about winning people's hearts and minds over. This is as much intimidation as it is anything else, especially when you heard that discussion that Keith Ellison had with Don Lemon's podcast saying, hey, this is just what you got to get used to. They've got a right to come barge into anything they want. That's the First Amendment.
Well, I mean, they also asked the leader of the protester, the protests, we want to call it maybe riots, break and enterers, whatever. Asked us, the leader of her, what do you thought? Well, maybe did you go a little too far? She says, oh, wait, hey, hang on a second here. I'm gonna push back. We're not in a place where we're we're not going to apologize for anything. They're intimidating children.
Right.
When you break into a church and scream and threaten people and make children cry, which according to the testimonies from those there, made the children or made the protesters, or the other children, more upset to see children terrified of them. I'm going to be honest with you. This is why you're armed in church. This is why you have a church security team. They should never have gotten past the front door. Seriously, this is why I am more adamant than anyone about having a church security team. This is why. They shouldn't have. I'm sorry, Don Lemon doesn't get to come in your church. He doesn't get to trespass. I mean, he can come in as a visitor and sit in the pew quietly. Or if you're in a rowdier church, sitting there, amen, hoot and holler, that's fine. But when you intimidate like that, I think that the full book should be thrown at these people. Absolutely.
Yeah, because you're looking at the typical church around the country. We've got, Sanctity of Life Sunday coming up here. Well, there was Sanctity of Life Sunday. There's a different pro-life Sunday coming up here. And it's not just about ICE. Whatever the issue is, the message has just been sent, because these playbooks are looked at on social media, and you've got every radical group everywhere saying, ooh, a lot of these churches are defenseless. Half of their attendees are senior citizens. We can just swarm them. There's not a darn thing they can do about it. And that's the risk, because that's the clarion call that could be being sent out right now from Minnesota.
I think that what you're going to see here in a couple of weeks is another attempt at doing this by the left, and what's going to end up is something that's going to be violent, and that's going to be a really ugly moment, because then the media will come out and say, well, you didn't actually know what they were going to do going in, but someone will get a little nervous, and then shots will go off, or someone will get hit with a crowbar or something, and then that will be that. And I'm not saying that in a way that I look forward to it. It's a terrible and awful thing, but we are careening so quickly towards a point of violence because of all of this rampant gaslighting from the media. Well, it was really just a protest. They were just expressing their First Amendment right. If you even looked cross-eyed at Raphael Warnock, who pretends to be a reverend down in Georgia, you get called a racist and anti-Christian and anti-church and all this other nonsense. You can storm a church in Minneapolis because your methed out cousin believes the pastor looks a little like an ICE agent, and it's totally fine. Don Lemon then gets to say like and subscribes at the end of it. I'm serious. I've never wanted to punch that man more. Yeah. I mean, he's harassed this pastor. He's gotten at his face. The pastor said, leave, please leave. And then Don turns to the camera and goes, like and subscribe for more. I wanted to see him punched in the face in that moment. I don't care if that's not decent. That's how I feel.
No, let's just clarify. Let's use his tactic. You want him punched in the face in good Christian love.
Of course, absolutely. I wanted to be in that moment. I wanted to be Peter. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
I just wanted to say that man had too many ears. You feel me? A little gospel retribution there.
That's a great reference
from your friendly Hoosier. Again, I know in St. Louis that has a different term, but I'm a little prouder than some mornings. Sorry.
I imagine so. Yeah, that was congratulate. And I grew up in Illinois, so it's hard for me to say congratulations to the Indiana Hoosiers. But you know what? They broke through, and all of the football factory schools, they're not the champion this year. So credit where credit's due on that.
Thanks. Another hypothetical win for the SEC.
That's right. We're visiting with Tony Kinnett, Tony Kinnett podcast. You can obviously check him out at the Daily Signal as well. So, Tony, let's talk about, the use of the violence obviously is spreading, even when there are deaths on the side of the left. And,
right.
I don't think...
that fuels them.
Exactly. That's where I'm going. I think, it looks like Harmeet Dillon is not messing around. It looks like they're taking Todd Blanche is not messing around. There's going to be prosecution. What they're going to get as far as a judge in the state or federal court in Minnesota remains to be seen. But when you see the aggressiveness that's happening, are they just counting on our side saying, well, I don't want to escalate. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to complain about them in social media posts or on talk radio shows?
I am very hesitant here to say that, we're going to see Harmeet Dillon, I know, wants to do this. You're right. Again, Todd Blanche wants to do this, but Mike, you and I know that Pam Bondi, for whatever reason, she's just disappointing. She's disappointing. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that, I have faith that Pam Bondi is going to come. They can't even get a freaking jury to indict Letitia James. They can't even find one. She's committed the most blatant acts of mortgage fraud we've ever seen. They can't even get a jury to indict her. So, what in the world is Pam Bondi doing? Seriously, at some point, you're going to have to ask. Kristi Noem probably needs to step aside so Tom Homan can run the DHS, so we don't have all of these Barbie, she was a domestic terrorist press conferences that hurt more than they help about Renee Good. And at some point, we also need probably someone other than Pam Bondi who's willing to actually go in there with a strong reputation and not, again, play Barbie. I'm sorry. I'm just not impressed. Bondi if she needs to step aside and we need somebody better, then so be it. I'm tired of sitting here and going, gee, I sure hope they're indicted. They terrorized a church. This should be not how likely is it he's going to be indicted. It should be how much is he going to be strung up in town square? How much tar and feathers are we getting out of the store closet?
Yeah, and what's really pathetic is the Attorney General Keith Ellison goes on, of all people, Don Lemon's podcast or his video show or his Zoom call or whatever it was, and basically says, well, you just got to get used to it. And that's the mindset that we're dealing with, which is why, I'm on your side on the camp here is you've got to be prepared, and you want your church to be as welcoming as possible. You want the weirdo stranger to come in and sit down and learn something or talk to you about it, but you have to be ready to get physical if this is the new tactic.
Well, and I'll say this, Mike, because yeah, absolutely. Of course, the first and foremost purpose of the church is to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. But of course, taking care, taking care of the people in the pews is something that also needs to be looked at. But I'll say this because there was a comment over on the Rumble side of things. I think that's a pretty good one. It said the left wants the right to get violent. I think there's an element of truth to that. I think that the left wants the right to get violent in the manner they do, riots and mobs in the streets. What the left doesn't want is for, we've had all this goofiness, now dad comes home. What the left does not want is for the right to bring dad home and say, all right, these are the rules. I'm going to enforce this with the belt. I don't care. I'm not here for your sorry, sad show. I'm not here to goof around with this nonsense any longer. We're going to deal with it. We're going to put up with it once and for all. We're done. That, I think, is what the left doesn't want, because that actually provides stability. In the midterms, I'm sorry, what we need is some stability. And that's only going to come when you have someone who comes in and enforces the rules.
Tony, what's going to be the short-term fallout from this mob that went into this church, a church that nobody had ever heard of before this past weekend? There's the short-term, like I said, there are a lot of people who are scratching their heads going, boy, they didn't think that one through. Everybody hates him. I don't think they care that everybody hates him. What's the short-term ripple effect that we need to be aware of? Because when you're looking right at that, there's usually something on the flank that we're missing.
So I would say that the first thing you need to keep an eye out for is all of the politicians that are going to attempt to use this as a manner of discrediting journalists. They're going to say Trump's going after the journalists. Trump's trying to do a Jimmy Kimmel again. They're going to go after him because once Trump stops tweeting about Greenland, he is going to focus on this a little bit more. He is very distracted with Greenland right now. I've probably never seen Trump as attracted by the key jangling as this particular moment. But this is, once Trump gets done with that, this is going to be probably at the forefront of his attention. And that means the media is going to rally behind Don Lemon, which is, disgusting and sad and awkward, but there you go. I'd look for this happening again. I know that's not necessarily the fringe, but I do think that it is worth looking at seeing again. I think that we are looking at a moment in the next couple of days where we are one riot short of the National Guard, either being federalized, or I know there's a couple of paratrooper teams on standby in various cold states. We'll have to see.
Yeah, and this is the type of thing we look back to other leftist violence, including that started out in Minnesota. It doesn't take long for that to spread into other cities. We know that all too well here in St. Louis.
I mean, I'm going to say right now, I think we reduce Minnesota back to territory status. We strip their statehood from them. We give that to Alberta. Mm-hmm. We take that from Canada. The Indiana of the North gets brought down because, Canada's busy going to the communists, literally. And then also, if we're talking big national policy, take Don Lemon into the ricketiest catapult you can find, put that on Coney Island and launch it east. That's what I think. Just launch him. Full goofy yell, yahoo, into the Atlantic, get rid of him.
Well, he doesn't have any wind resistance. There's nothing there. So
he'll sail a while. Yeah, maybe get hit by an American Airlines flight heading to London. Who knows?
Maybe.
One can hope.
All right. Tony, obviously, Tony Kinnett, podcast Tony Kinnett Show coming up today, Daily Signal as well. What are we, I'm sure you're addressing this later on today, but what else you got your eye on right now?
I'm keeping an eye on some of this federal court justice stuff that's starting to concern me a little bit. There are some shenanigans that are coming down the line regarding some of the benches in the Midwest that, again, I know Brennan Gill in Congress is, filing articles of impeachment, but if they don't get a hold on some of the rogue judiciary at some point, it's going to be a really rough couple of years.
Yeah, really is. By the way, I saw a political cartoon of somebody taking away a plate of food from President Trump and saying, no, you can't have your Greenland. You're not done with your Venezuela yet.
I love both. I think that the more that I watch this, Trump sharing the private text from Macron, I think that's a bit of a trap for him. Mm-hmm. We'll have to see what he does with it.
Yep. Tony, we'll go talk to you again soon, my friend. Thanks so much.
Take care out there in St. Louis.
All right. Senator Eric Schmidt has thoughts on the president's effort to take over Greenland and also SLU's basketball team, now nationally ranked right here in the Lou. That's all in the news dump that's going to come your way at 8:20.
Don't try to make me stop. You have a soul so dark, it is no more. And all at once depart, no destination. You're making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop right now. I have had enough of this.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Since 1981, Amis has been serving the St. Louis area mouth-watering pizza, pasta, and steaks made with love and passion. With 2 convenient locations in St. Louis and O'Fallon, we offer dine-in, carry-out, and delivery. From intimate dinners to large catering events, there's something for everyone on our menu. Visit us today or check out our full menu at amispizza.com.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Hey, Chris Arps from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
Okay, let's follow up with where we just left off with that conversation with Tony Kinnett, which, by the way, is going to be posted on the News Talk STL podcast, Mike Ferguson in the Morning podcast here very, very shortly.
Oh, yeah.
And so check that out. Make sure you're subscribed. Just saying. Our criminal charges in the future for the protesters. The mob that invaded that Minneapolis church. I still maintain, and Tony and I think are on the same page here, I still maintain that is not about Minneapolis. This is about everywhere else.
You have to come down sometimes with the hammer of the law to set a precedent that this is not going to be tolerated.
Yep. Also, abortion is back at the center of some court hearings in Missouri. Going to give you the basic update on that. SLU makes it into the national basketball rankings.
Wow.
Yeah, they're having a phenomenal year. All right, 8:21 right now. Let's do one more news dump here.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the Morning News Dump.
Okay, a couple different angles on what happened over the weekend. Justice Department's Civil Rights Division is investigating after protesters mobbed that church, saying things like "ICE out," "Justice for Renee Good," "Hands up, don't shoot," as they were rushing and overwhelming the city's church in the Twin Cities area.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but if I was, in my living room hanging out and a group full of people just barged in shouting "ICE out," that would totally convince me to listen to what they have to say. Yeah, so this was all in the middle of their service, all right? So on Fox's The Will Cain Show, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche says the FACE Act, F-A-C-E, FACE Act,
protects churchgoers in this case.
You are not allowed to stop people from worshiping, and you're not allowed to intimidate or impede them. And so the individuals that went in there and did that, and you could tell that they had a plan, you could tell that they had an agenda.
Okay, so he's not just saying, tisk, 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 you're wrong. He's talking about that's what we could use to federally prosecute you. And that's where that investigation is happening. They could bring charges against Don Lemon and against the people who say they are members of the Racial Justice Network, which was the mob that went in there. Don Lemon says he was not part of the group, but joined them in entering the sanctuary, and he joined them in confronting one of the pastors. So on the podcast, a Jennifer Welch podcast, Lemon actually argued, he doubled down. He argued that the church does not have a right to worship in peace.
And there's a certain degree of entitlement. I think people who are, in the religious groups like that, it's not the type of Christianity that I practice, but I think that they're entitled, and that entitlement comes from a supremacy, a white supremacy. And they think that this country was built for them, that it is a Christian country, when actually we left England because we wanted religious freedom.
Okay, I'm going to come back to that in a second. The FACE Act, by the way, it limits protests outside of abortion clinics and places of worship. So the FACE Act was something that the left really, really wanted because, there were the prayer vigils outside of abortion clinics. And then when it became obvious that that had a good chance of passing, somebody else said, and places of worship, and added it, and then it passed. So that's actually what could be used to prosecute them, and likely to be used to prosecute them. Okay, so, but this whole thing of entitlement, it's an entitlement because of its white supremacy. Now, we're going to go into more depth on this here around 8:35. But this is a mindset with the everything is political, everything is ideological, social media, dopamine hit world that we live in. I mean, that was just what he said there was an absolute slop of a sentence. None of it made any sense. But the bottom line, and in about 10 minutes or so, I'll let you hear from the Attorney General of the state of Minnesota. Their argument is basically, you don't have rights. If you get to do something in peace and exercise your First Amendment rights, like freedom of worship and assembly, it's only because we chose not to override them violently.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this a little bit yesterday as well, about how sometimes it is quite painful to have principles, and the way that these radicals are operating is that they are more than happy to pass laws based on their values and then violate those same laws when it's convenient for them, but also expect us to still treat them based on our values and not their values.
Right, exactly. All right. President Trump threatening the European Union with 10% tariffs as leaders there are not on board with his proposal, or at least many of the leaders are not on board with his proposal to acquire Greenland for the United States. The president told Norway's prime minister that he has no obligation to move forward peacefully because he wasn't awarded the Nobel Prize. Now, when I first read that copy, I'm like, wait a minute. There's some reporter who's just left-leaning. He didn't actually say that. And then I'm like, let me find this on a conservative site. So I went to, Newsmax. I'm like, oh, no, he actually did say that. He actually did say that. Okay, so Missouri Senator Eric Schmidt, though, defending the president's actions. He was on Hannity last night on Fox.
He doesn't care much about, currying favor with the elites in Brussels. And that's really what this is about. The Europeans are so used to sort of everyone speaking to them a certain way. President Trump has a job to do, and that's to protect the homeland in the Western Hemisphere here, which is our backyard.
Okay, so the president also, when pressed by reporters, said he was not ruling out military action to take Greenland. We're not invading Greenland. Okay, so we're not going to have a mass invasion of Greenland. That's not going to happen. But he won't say, of course we're not invading Greenland. The Speaker of the House has already said, no, we're not invading Greenland, people. But the president wants to keep that on the table. And I know there's a lot of people say, well, that's just how we negotiate and stuff. It's pretty irresponsible to negotiate that way.
Yeah, it's a little bit strong-armed. I'm not saying that something bad will happen to you if you don't comply, but I'm not ruling it out either.
Yep. All right. The annual, you know what? Let me get to that in a second here. The trial over regulations on abortion in Missouri is back in place. They're going to start up hearings probably any minute now. That's happening in Jackson County, where Planned Parenthood is among the plaintiffs challenging Missouri's medical regulations on abortion. They're really the main plaintiff. They are arguing that the state constitutional amendment that was passed in 2024 outlaws basically any restrictions on abortion, any. Among the regulations being challenged is the requirement that a doctor perform the surgical abortion. That's actually what they're challenging. The law that says if you are going to do an invasive in-person, dismemberment abortion, that it has to be a doctor. They're challenging that law and a regulation as a restriction on abortion.
That is absolutely insane. I have no other word to use.
Right. Arguments are expected to conclude this week, but keep in mind they might win this case because the language of that amendment that was passed in 2024 is so extreme, and that's in the state constitution. We must win and pass the new Amendment 3 later this year. All right, the annual March for Life taking place this week.
Hundreds of thousands of people from all across the nation are expected in Washington, D.C. on Friday for the event. It commemorates the 1973 Supreme Court ruling that legalized abortion in all 50 states. And despite the fact that Roe v. Wade has now been overturned, the march goes on. Organizers say, quote, "The necessary work to build a culture of life in the U.S. is not finished. The goal of the march is ultimately to make abortion unthinkable."
Okay, a few things.
Michael Harrington reporting.
Sorry, Michael. All right, just a few things to keep an eye on real quick here. One of them's the weather forecast. Okay, massive Arctic blast, Arctic storm moving across the country. The winter storm is expected to bring dangerously cold weather, possibly snow to the region, although it's too early to tell if St. Louis is in the line of fire for that. We just don't know yet.
The temperatures themselves, though.
It's going to be dangerous. Going to be ugly here. If we get any sort of snowstorm or anything like that, it'll be Friday night, Saturday, although the forecast right now indicate that the worst of this storm is going to miss St. Louis, but we're kind of in the neighborhood, so keep an eye on the forecast over the next couple of days. But as of right now, just prepare for some bitter cold over the weekend. The Billikens are now ranked in the men's basketball top 25.
Wow.
SLU is 17-1 on the season, and they broke into this week's AP poll at number 24. Illinois ranked number 11th. Blues are on the road tonight. They play Winnipeg. Game time against the Jets is 7 o'clock our time. Both teams have pretty similar records. Blues 19-22-8, Jets 19-23-5, and this one's going to be on FanDuel.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Always be yourself, unless you suck.
On NewsTalk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Shannon Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're tracking highs towards the upper 30s this afternoon, mostly sunny skies. Then we'll look at a warmer Wednesday, highs towards the mid-40s, the warmest days out of the foreseeable future. We'll continue to cool into the weekend with Arctic air on the way, causing a first alert weather day into Saturday morning for overnight lows back towards that 0-degree mark. We'll also look at the potential for some weekend snow ahead. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shannon Scotch.
Fox News commentary with Craig Gutfeld. Next.
New Year's resolutions sound great on January 1st, but January 10th, not so much. This year, there's one resolution worth keeping, getting your finances in order. For many people, that starts with balance, not just growth, but protection too. And that's where Noble Gold Investments comes in. For over a decade, they've made it easy for investors to add gold and silver to their portfolios and reduce market risk. Visit NobleGoldInvestments.com, NobleGoldInvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult with your tax or financial professional before making investment decisions.
Here's Greg Gutfeld.
So interfering with law enforcement is now the radicals' version of the Tide Pod Challenge. Same concept, do something really stupid, make sure it's filmed for accolades and attention. Imagine if Tide had been telling teens to eat those pods all along, then post a reaction online. Seems like Tide would get sued to oblivion. So what if your family member got themselves jammed up, or worse, at the behest of anti-ICE radicals? Couldn't you have a lawsuit too? Couldn't you go go after the extremist groups, those who encourage and train gullible people to obstruct the law? Because this isn't just activism. It's get the confrontation on camera so we stay funded. And when the performance turns lethal, everyone suddenly becomes shocked that poking the bear can end badly, and not for the bear.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Yo, this is Vic. Vic for Vets is proudly honoring our veterans. Every Wednesday at 11:05, you'll hear about that day's honoree and their incredible service to our country.
Hi, it's Ken. You want to nominate a veteran? Send their name, service information, and story to me, Ken, at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Brought to you by Alamo Military Collectibles, Gemini Wealth Group, and Heroes Care.
Together, let's celebrate the heroes in our community. Vic for Vets, where honor meets gratitude.
Newstalk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 2 times every weekend on Newstalk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
This is what's happening.
More than 12,000 Iranians were massacred in 48 hours.
We've been told that the killing in Iran is stopping, and it's stopped.
101.9 and 94.1.
Number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy, Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
By the way, those some of those mobs up in Minneapolis, did you see what they did yesterday?
What's that?
Okay, you had the whole backlash with the invading the church. And you say, okay, but if you're not a conservative and or, a person of faith, or you're not active in a church, you may look at that and go, oh, well, that was rude. And then you move on with your day. Then they went into Target and had a sit-in blocking the aisles at Target. I'm like, you know that left-wing white women are your key supporters. What are you doing? You are now targeting your bread and butter here. I'm telling you.
Oh, the awful strike again, huh?
I'm telling you. And I'm like, that's who you want to target? You want to target where the yoga pant wearing, Stanley Cup carrying, Karen with the big sunglasses or whatever. That's who you want to piss off? I mean, sure, you can piss off Jesus and you don't care. But if you want to go after, Cherie or whoever it is that's in Target right now, that's how you're going to do that? Really?
That's a very...
And they didn't even do what they should have done. If this group of people were going to do that, they should have at least done it in the aisle where the soap and the shampoo are. I'm just saying, maybe a little body wash we'd let slide.
I mean, it's one thing to go up to federal agents who have a clearly defined protocol of what's acceptable.
Right.
You have to be like Florida man level to go after Karen in her natural environment.
Right. And so, and I saw that, and I'm like, why in the world are they going after Target? And I think Target is actually based in Minneapolis. I think like their corporate headquarters there. I could be wrong about that, but I think they're from that area. But that wasn't it. Apparently that Target, was allowing ICE and DHS officers to come in and use their bathroom. And they were parking their vehicles in the parking lot and they were demanding that Target not allow federal law enforcement to use their bathroom. That's what they were arguing about. So let me follow up on what we were talking with Tony Kinnett about here. And what we talked about, we touched on this throughout the day, is that Don Lemon and Keith Ellison as well now, they're now doubling down on not only was it okay, but two, no, you should not expect to retain your First Amendment right if I think mine is going to override it. And who gets to decide that? Well, me.
Yeah.
And as Tony was saying a little bit ago, what's going to happen at some point is there's going to be something come to a head. And if you are preventing prayer, which I saw Newsmax label it that a little bit ago, which is so smart, that's not a First Amendment right. You've got the First Amendment right to go out on the sidewalk, on the easement, even if it's on the church property. Usually in most cities, that sidewalk is an easement for public access. You've got a right to stand there and protest. But they're arguing that because I oppose something here or because I have something to say, I get to decide if you get to keep your rights. And they're targeting places where people are unlikely to be able to or unlikely to have the courage to fight back.
Yes, because you can be, a world-class kickboxer, but if you're somewhere with your family and you're being terrorized by a mob full of people, then it's still not wise for you to potentially respond to that.
And you're outnumbered.
Yeah. And so even if it was like, a Jackie Chan movie where you're kicking butt left and right, the fact of the matter is that in some regards, you could be arrested, you could be sued, you could have a number of things that happen that would then ruin your life over nothing.
Well, in Minnesota, those protecting themselves would likely be the ones. But at some point, you just have to take that chance.
Oh, absolutely.
So Don Lemon is on this podcast with Welch. What's their first name?
I don't know.
Whatever the current left-wing podcaster du jour is. And they were talking about the DOJ announcing Don Lemon and this Racial Justice Network membership. They are now targets of an investigation for criminal prosecution.
Oh, Jennifer Welch.
Jennifer Welch. Okay. Yeah. So he's on her podcast, and here's how that conversation went. Basically, I'm going to play you the rest of the soundbite I had in the news dump.
And there's a certain degree of entitlement. I think people who are, in the religious groups like that, it's not the type of Christianity that I practice, but I think that they're entitled, and that entitlement comes from a supremacy, a white supremacy. And they think that this country was built for them, that it is a Christian country, when actually we left England because we wanted religious freedom. It's religious freedom, but only if you're a Christian and only if you're a white male, pretty much. And so, yeah, I absolutely 100%, but it's an intimidation tactic. And, I said, I don't understand how I've become the face of it when I was a journalist. I do understand that I'm the biggest name there. And I'm also, as I was on with my producers this morning, you and Kylie talk all the time. My producers were saying, I said, how did I become the face of this? And my producer said, Don, you're a gay black man in America.
Okay, so the part that jumps out that kind of, I think, skipped over a lot of people, he's referring to the investigation and likely charges. He goes, well, it's an intimidation tactic. You just mobbed a church sanctuary during a worship service to shout down the people who were there to exercise their faith. But the idea that you may have blatantly and demonstrably violated laws, and by the way, if they prosecute this the right way, it's not violating anybody's First Amendment right.
Yeah, you're supposed to treat others as you would like to be treated, but I would suppose you would have to have gone to the church and sat down and listened.
He doesn't practice that kind of Christianity.
No, not at all.
And it's funny for people like Don Lemon. They're like, well, I'm a Christian, but no, you're not. There's nothing in your life that says, and I think a lot of Republicans get it wrong when it comes to try to weaponizing faith and thinking that, Christianity is a Republican religion. It is not, because there's a lot of Republicans who get it really, really wrong on some things. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how you can be a leftist and still be a Christian. I don't know how those two things are compatible. I think some people on the right get it wrong, but I don't know how you can be on the left and do that. And that's me making an intellectual, ideological, and philosophical, theological comparison. I don't know how you can support what the American left supports right now and somehow pair that with the text of the Bible. I don't understand that. And again, I'm admittedly, I'm not going to church these days, so I'm not one to cast too many stones. I just don't know how that's even possible to make those two align.
Yeah, and I do. I mean, I read the Bible as often as I have time to read it, and I can't recall the story of when Jesus and the disciples were busting into the synagogues, shouting at everybody, and I can't recall the times where he was getting everybody to go protest against the Roman soldiers because they didn't like Caesar.
Right. Here's the other aspect of that is he says intimidation tactic and that sort of thing. I'm like, okay, white supremacy, that entitlement, the entitlement to think you have a right to a peaceful, solemn worship service of whatever your faith is. That's white supremacy. Okay, dude, go try that in a black church in urban anywhere. Go try that in a mosque. Go try that in one of the rainbow flag churches. Of course, they'll probably start jumping and running around with joining in the chants as well. So they'll welcome you in Webster Grove. But what I'm saying is that go into one of the urban churches that are unapologetic and orthodox in their belief. Try it there and then lecture them about their white supremacy. Give that a try, dude. I will pay money to watch that conversation. Go try that with Corey Brooks in Chicago. See how that goes.
Or even in the St. Louis area, go to one of the Nation of Islam groups and who are vocally black supremacists and tell them that their black supremacy is wrong. Interrupt their service and do it and let me know how that goes.
No, they love gay guys when you walk into the Nation of Islam. They love that. Go into the mosque and say, black gay man speaking here. They'll welcome you with open arms.
Yeah, and it's interesting
then
because
throw you off the building, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, and the interesting thing too is that whenever I'm certain in Don Lemon or Lon Demon, I guess if you wanted to call him that, that in his mind, any amount of pushback he gets for his own behavior and action suddenly, well, it has to be because I'm a gay black man. I'm oppressed. I'm the most oppressed person in the world. It just doesn't.
It's because you're a jerk.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, and he was interviewing on his show Keith Ellison, the Attorney General, the guy who should be in charge of saying that's a clear violation of the law. That's a clear violation of other people's rights. I'm going to prosecute. But here's what Keith Ellison had to say on Don Lemon's show when they were talking about it.
Attorney General, I know you know what's going on. I'm sure you've heard of what's going on. What do you think of this and what happened at the church and all that?
Well, let me tell you, I think that, the protest is fundamental to American society. This country started in a protest. And, it's freedom of expression. People have a right to lift up their voices and make their peace. And none of us are immune from the voice of the public. So quite honestly, I think that you got the First Amendment, freedom of religion, and the First Amendment, freedom of expression. And I think that, it's just something you got to live with in a society like this.
It's just something you got to live with in a society like this. Essentially, what that assertion is that we will go violate your rights anywhere we please because we are more equal than you. Our First Amendment right is more equal than your First Amendment right, even though what they're doing is not something that is covered by the First Amendment. This argument that we have a First Amendment right to commandeer private property, even after being told get out, that we have a First Amendment right to shout people down with physical intimidation and deny other people their right to worship, that somehow the Attorney General of a state, an elected Attorney General, says you just have to get used to that. What he actually said to every BLM group, what he actually said to every Antifa group, what he said to every Party of Communism and Liberation group, every Marxist organization, every group out there, every radical left, what he said to them is, I endorse this tactic, go do it.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
It is irresponsible at best, and it is borderline insightful and permissive at worst. And I cannot imagine somebody who is in a position of authority seeing what's going on, seeing it. Again, this was not like a cafe full of ICE agents where these people stormed into. It would still be stupid, but I mean, at the very least, you would have the people you're mad at there to yell at, but these were people minding their own business, unrelated. They weren't even discussing how the church could help ICE, from what we understand at least. And they still took it upon themselves to go in there and quite literally terrorize people.
Did we ever confirm whether that associate or assistant or whatever pastor on their leadership team, do we ever confirm or find out whether that is the guy who works for ICE? I don't know if we ever found out if they're even right that guy is an ICE field director. Maybe he is. I don't know. It doesn't change the fact that it doesn't excuse what they did. It doesn't change the fact that they had no business doing that. But do we even know if they're even right in their complaint? I never heard a confirmation one way or the other.
No, I've not seen anything confirming that. And to your point, it was not as if, from what we could tell and from statements that were made, it was not like he was checking people's papers on the way into the church.
Yeah.
And these people showed up and said, we're not doing that. No, this is the most ridiculous nonsense, again, terrorizing people. Yeah. And then to have an AG sit there and say, well, you just got to get used to that.
You just have to get accustomed to it.
It's depressing sometimes. Ay caramba. But what's not depressing is that we often do have some very lighthearted and fun conversations, such as one we had with Tony Kinnett. And earlier today, in case you missed it, we were actually going through the Babylon Bee for a little bit and seeing what they are talking about on there. And we had some fun with that. You can check out all of that on our News Talk STL podcast platforms under Mike Ferguson in the Morning. And if you especially have free time, join us on our live streams on Rumble, YouTube, X, Facebook. Pretty sure that those are the core ones. But you can leave some comments, let us know what you're thinking, and get involved in the fun.
I can't do my own research better than experts.
Hey, it's good to see you.
There's a certain way we do things around here, the Grasser way.
The Grasser way?
We don't cut corners and we don't take shortcuts. Not on the little stuff and not on the big stuff.
We do the big stuff.
That's right. Whole home generators that kick on the moment the grid gives up. Lights stay on, heat stays on, your family stays safe, so your house stays warm.
And your ice cream stays frozen.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeServices.com.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline.
Hello, Kirk Ilsinger, chairman of the Republican Party for the city of St. Louis, and we believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. I invite you to our meetings the first Thursday of every month. Learn more at stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Ever feel like just a number in a waiting room? Hi, I'm Shannon Tribune, Director of Operations with Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Navigating the medical system can be a maze of stress. I'm your personal guide at Body of Health. I handle the messy parts of medical care, the logistics and complex coordination, both in and outside our walls, so you and Dr. Tobler, that's my dad, can focus on what matters most, your health. At Body of Health, you're not just a patient, you're part of the family, because that's healthcare the way it ought to be. To learn more, schedule a discovery call at bodyofhealth.com.
Colombo and Company.
Join us every day for conversations with a wide variety of guests as we keep you informed and up to speed on all the important news and headlines you need to know.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on NewsTalk STL.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning, people.
Question was just asked, how many times does Keith Ellison have to prove himself a fool? No, I think he's proven. I think it's beyond a reasonable doubt, to use legal terminology. I think he's proven.
This is, at this point, it's the scientific method. It's irrefutable that this person is, in fact, a fool.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's funny because one of the great things that Susie's brought to the show is she is kinder than I am. I get worked up and I'm ready to go after the a-holes and the Marxist. And she's like, I try not to call names. It's got to be really, really extreme. She's just a nicer person than I am. She just is. And, but that goes into kind of where we left off when you were given the whole I caramba thing. because it is overwhelming. And don't think for a minute that this is not part of the tactic. Overwhelming your opposition. I mean, this is a pseudo psyop. You get people so ground down and you get people so burnt out that they disengage and walk away. Yeah. Okay. We do a radio and essentially a quasi-television show here. And we have conversations. And I love that we have got I have a couple new names, by the way, that we're seeing in the mix in here as well. Welcome to everybody. But understand that when there's something really crucial, we're gonna focus on that. We're gonna tell you what we know and what we can find out. We're gonna engage that, and we're not afraid to debate here. There are people disagree with me on stuff, and that's fine. Susie and I don't always agree. You and I don't always agree. Gabe and I didn't always agree. So there's nothing wrong with that. We want to be really, really entertaining, but understand that I do not want to be part of grinding and wearing us down. I hate that tribalism. I think there are principles in play. I think we need to stand up. We need to fight. But in order to fight, you need to be well rested. You need to be confident. And the left's chaos that's happening right now, I am convinced is part of the tactic to wear us down and get people in the Continental Army, ideologically speaking, to turn and go, I'm going home. Mm-hmm. Okay. I am not going to try to keep you keyed up every single day. There are days where it's like, you know what? We're going to laugh at some stuff. We're going to have a lot of fun. You know what? There's a survey about which dog breeds are the best. There are those things that are out there because there's more to life than politics. Even when social media, even when the media want us to live our lives through an ideological war field, battleground. That's not all of life. There is a time and a place to push back and argue and debate, and there's a time and a place to say, how about those Battlehawks? How about those Cardinals? How about those Billikens? And let's go have a beer.
Yeah, I was reading a study a couple of years ago that said that in the testing that they've done on people, you actually mentally and cognitively perform 15 to 25% less intelligently when you are in a really negative, worked up, mad state of mind. And there are a lot of things that should be considerable when it comes to getting worked up about something, but you also have to, sometimes be careful about which hills you want to fight battles on.
Right, exactly.
Everything cannot be an emergency. Everything cannot be a catastrophe. Everything is not a trauma for people, talking to my fellow millennials out there, but if you're always worked up and you're always fatigued and you're always just burnt out, you in your day-to-day non-political, non-news life are going to be having worse performances, and that's going to transfer into every element of your life.
If everything's a catastrophe, nothing is a catastrophe.
Yep.
If everything is the country is hanging in the balance, then nothing is the country hanging in the balance.
Now, the other part of that, though,
conservative media should know that as well as anything. Conservative media is more guilty of that.
Oh, yeah. And then, the opposite's true as well, though. If you're always fatigued and worked up and to the point where you just don't care anymore, then the battles that really do need to be fought and pushed for, and especially when it comes to pushing through some legislation and getting some of these laws fixed, then you're not going to have the energy or the willpower to go do it.
Right, exactly. So that's why I've asked a couple times today, and I just want to leave as we turn things over to Vic here in a minute. My email, I'll just give you my email address here at the radio station, Mike, M-I-K-E, at NewsTalkSTL.com. So what I'm asking is, you tell me, what is it you want to hear and see more of? And you tell me what you're going to need to stay engaged and be equipped and not worn out by this. And this is not me saying I think we're snowflakes or we're weak or anything like that. I'm saying that we're humans. Mm-hmm. And this is a tactic of the left, and I think we need to think in a much broader frame of mind and, one, not contribute and try to up their game, but to say, let's be smarter. Let's be more strategic. So while someone's screaming at you about abortion, you fascist Nazi, on social media because you're pro-life, you're talking to your friend who's not really engaged, but they're going to show up and vote on Amendment 3, and you're buying them a cup of coffee and saying, yeah, here's why we need to do this. It's just really the right thing to do. There's a difference. One tries to run people off. The other reaches out to people's hearts and minds.
Yeah, right now it's one side's trying to scare and intimidate you into compliance, and the other side is trying to actually discuss, here is why I believe this is a good idea or why it's a bad idea. And that's going to be a lot more effective. If somebody shows up and starts screaming at us, you're probably going to tune them out and try to get out of the situation versus, hey, let's just talk about this real quick. Let's figure out why we disagree on this.
Yeah, and the thing is that there are times to get intense. There are times where we've got to be really, really serious and say, listen, this is big. But the other times we're talking about what's happening in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not all about politics. Just right now, the politics are what's dominating. It's dominating the news right now. But that's just the way it goes. So we're on it. We hear you. We see you. Not to take the silliness at the left. Like, yeah, see you. You're no. Listen. I'm aware of the temptation to not stay in the fight. We're here for you.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement